Let's go live. However long it takes for it to go. There it is. At least that's what one thing says. All right. It's a few seconds early, but I feel like a few seconds early is just early enough. Welcome back to our Austria stream. Yes, okay. I'm like delaying for 10 seconds to make sure everything is fine because my phone is not changed at all. But yes, we're fine. We are live. Okay. So where we last left off, we had a few things going on. First off, we had dropped taxes earlier. If I remember correctly, that was to help our legitimacy to contain rising radicalism. But at this point, I'd say it's largely contained enough to where I can kind of switch back to normal taxes because we need money. Money is very important. We also have started the Age of Entrepreneurs event, which, if anyone has been playing Germany since it was added, knows this is an incredibly hard journal entry to succeed in, and historically actually failed. Historically, this leads to the impending crash. That will be very fun later. Since we know that this technically is very difficult to win because 2.5% GDP every quarter is hard, we could just take the easier version of it. But I kind of want to be greedy and get that additional loan interest rate reduction for a bit and the increased investment contribution, even though I can't seem to spend it all yet to begin with. It's just like, why don't be greedy? Let's be greedy. And then I'm sure in about 3 years this will crash because it's reliant on all German GDP, and we only make up a portion of that. Granted, maybe it'll work out. I don't think it will, though, because our economy has to grow faster than everyone else, and we kind of crippled Prussia. I don't think the Confederation's doing too well. And then you have a lot of the other German statelets who are, let's just say they've seen better years than the current economic years. I also want to see if the companies actually fix themselves, because we are playing on the opt-in beta that's meant to fix some sound issues. It's also alongside other updates that are meant to hot fix the issue of capitalists just not staying in the building. Now, we have an issue of a lack of aristocrats, too, to begin with, but that's a separate problem. What I'm hoping to see is that this will be nice and full of capitalists, and we won't have that issue anymore. So, without further ado, we are just going to get into it. As I pause 3 seconds into the game to realize, I don't remember what I was going to do at half these points. Actually, I do remember what I wanted to do. That was to switch the food industries over to use fish. Even though we don't have enough fish right off the bat, it's because I want to then use that to develop our Italian subjects. By extension, our subjects over here, down in the Balkans. Because we're not going to have the fish, and we definitely don't have the oil, but we have the oil rigs. We have some oil rigs. I don't think we're going to have a lot of oil, though. And honestly, at this point, we might as well just try to better export our food. I'm not really trying to tax it, it's just where we're at. But we could try to actually export more goods. Speaking of which, we have been tariffing our wheat to prevent its export, but we've been exporting it anyway, and I've decided we're just going to let it export. At this point, we're just going to let the wheat export anyway. Just let the economy grow, even though most of the countries in the world kind of hate us. Oh, the Circassian call triggered again. Wait, Circassia? I see. Circassia still exists. Russia has just beaten up the Ottomans more, as if we hadn't already stolen enough from the Ottomans as it is. Russia just had to go in and make the dead man of Europe even more dead than it already is. I'll take it. It's Hamburg. They're not really valuable. But yeah, I do expect this to just crash very quickly, because it's reliant on the GDP of a lot of AIs, including ourselves. So I don't see it ending well. We've also exhausted a lot of our employable population, but that's fine. That just means we have to employ more people. I have fantastic news. We're going to get more fish now, because we wisely invested into the gantry cranes earlier before we ended the stream last time. Our 3 shipyards might not be enough to make up for it, though, but those 3 shipyards are going to be living it up. At least until the price crashes. So, what I kind of want to do next, actually, is grab Floating Harbor and just do mass-scale trading. Just trade out more. let this trade capacity kind of boom, because we're already kind of the biggest importer and exporter of goods, primarily export goods. So I figured just make it better. I don't know if this is the best economic idea. I just think it's funny that Venice has been building up to be a big trade center with lots of paper mills, and then it's exporting all the paper. So I kind of just want to see what happens if we really go hard into this. I have formed Giga Germany in previous games before. We haven't done it in this one, partially because the Confederation of the Rhine exists, so you can't. Because of all nations, Burgundy formed it, and you'd have to eliminate the Confederation to form it, but we can't form it with Prussia anyway. Oh, we actually met a quarter. That's surprising. That might be because we just switched over some production methods, though. Speaking of which, I'm actually running out of wood. We're actually running out of wood, and I don't think that's supposed to happen. I think you're supposed to have lots of wood all the time in the game, right? That's how this works. Lots of wood all the time. I also just realized my phone is badly positioned. I could not read that chat at first. One day, I'll make enough money on YouTube to where I can get a second monitor and use that to actually monitor chat. But for now, we have to live with a phone because it's a phone. Phones work. Phones also get advertisements. Thanks, YouTube. Socialism. I'm sure nothing bad will happen from that. I also did some background research and did note you cannot change the distribution of power law through a regime change if you are on Neo-Absolutism. It doesn't change it to a variation of autocracy. It just kind of ignores it as if it can't do that. So a good example actually would be Two Sicilies. We can force the regime to change off a parliamentary republic. They have census suffrage, but if we do this, you'll see it made them a monarchy. It changed their citizenship to cultural exclusion from national supremacy, but it did not touch the distribution of power law at all. It kind of left it untouched. So that is an unfortunate downside to playing with the Neo-Absolutism law, is that we can't force people to switch off of their distribution of power law for it. What I can do, though, is bully everyone who doesn't have a monarchy and force them into monarchy. So that's fun. And actually, we could force Wallachia into an extraction economy, which would utterly crush their investment pool, but it would make that oil a little more valuable if you think about it. I don't think that's a good idea in the long run, but it would be really funny. Although in reality, considering they've got industrialists and the bourgeoisie, I probably want to just force interventionism or agrarianism, whichever one's easier to pass. Yeah. That way they get off the traditionalism negatives, because those just really suck. Yeah. Wallachia was a parliamentary oligarchy, and we just kind of told it no. And right now I'm just kind of forcing them to switch off, try to force them to switch off traditionalism. We're going to have limited success in that regard, but that's just to make their economies a little easier to interact with us. I actually totally forgot to even check out, doing all of these changes to the various... Oh, right! We can cause Crownland diets, can't we? I forgot to do all of these potential changes into our new subjects. We actually could force the Pope out of power, chat. Yeah, let's do that. We'll force the Pope out of power as well. Oh no, it didn't change it off theocracy. Really? Huh. Okay, well, we're just gonna ignore that and move on then, I guess. They can keep their Pope for now. Oh, so Piedmont wants autonomy. Who is backing them? Oh, just Egypt, who also wants increased autonomy. Because if you recall, we got really high infamy, so that's really kicked up their liberty desire. But the good news is that it's only them, so... I mean, there's not much we can do here, Chad. It's either punish them by taking something, or actually... Could always force them to pay a bazillion pounds. I think you could have a viable economy with the extraction economy if you yourself are able to do enough private construction. The issue is just it cripples your investment pool in most cases. And if you're not able to recover that with tax revenue or some other form of revenue, it creates a bit of a problem. You know, I think what we will do, chat, we'll seize the rest of the Sinai from Egypt, just so that we have full control over the state instead of only the little treaty port itself. So that way, they can't just easily close the canal on us. But I think, unless we want to start unifying our subjects into larger vassal states, which I'm not too certain we want to do, because that would give them more power, it's probably best to just walk in, burn their cities to the ground, and then walk back out. Maybe don't burn all the cities. We do kind of need some subjects alive to actually keep going. but you know, burn down a couple of the cities. We have to show who's in charge. But I'm also a little concerned that it's going to just mess up the economy. Oh. Yeah, oppressor and oppressed while I talk about burning places to the ground. That's cute. So how big is this communist movement? 13% is not big. It's not terrible. We're busy suppressing several movements, though, because they've been trying to spread their own influence. I'm actually wondering if we should pass different tax laws opposed to the ones we have now. The Ottomans are supporting separatism. Oh, I didn't notice that the Americans were doing a cut down to size war in Russia. That's cool. The Ottomans were willing to be our subject. Great. I forgot. We have a treaty. We have a treaty port in Egypt. I totally forgot about that. I wish we had a treaty port in Qing. Maybe that's what we'll do later. Is we'll invade Qing and make a treaty port there. That would be really fun. Honestly, with how strong the industrialists are, I think we'll just pass poor laws over wage subsidies. Wage subsidies would be nice, but I'd like the industrialists to stop inciting a avoidance of taxation. At least this way, the taxes will get paid on time, you know? But yeah, I think maybe we do an invasion into Qing later for a treaty port, because I'm pretty sure the Heavenly Kingdom revolt's already happened, so we shouldn't have any worries about that occurring again later. But yeah, we'll put down this revolt, and then we'll kind of look externally. Hey, a socialist movement appeared. We'll check that out later. We're not going to check it out at the moment. Actually, where are we on the iron prices? They're actually pretty cheap. Okay. Speaking of which, yes, okay, so good news. We started the stream not too long ago. We were at half capitalists in these buildings. We actually didn't have aristocrats either. They have definitely fixed the hiring bug for the upper strata, because now all of these are fully hired without any hire firing issues going on. And I just wanted to pause for a moment and note that, because it is very good to see that it's actually fixed. It also means we have more capitalists and aristocrats walking around, which, yeah. This really is the tempo of the founding years, huh? Anyway, where's the Navy? I need to upgrade it. And I'd like to build more capital ships if we could. If we're going to invade Qing, I need to be able to land as many troops as possible at once. They're not strong, but you know, it's better than going in without a care in the world. The doggos also say hello. In fact, how is trade looking if it's just our states? If they're spread out, there's a lot of potential for growth rates, which I'm not surprised by. In fact, our trade capacity was below 7K, was below 8K. It is almost at 9K now. We're actually exporting a lot of groceries. Why are the Americans buying so much? Wait. Okay, so we're obviously exporting the lion's share. The Americans are importing almost 6,000. So you're telling me I could deprive Americans of their groceries if I just stopped exporting? No, wealth voting now has a 20 threshold to it as opposed to 25, as you can see right here. And census suffrage was dropped down to 10 from 15. So they both kind of had those numbers dropped, which makes it a bit easier to get liberal movements into power in theory, since lower strata pops can vote. In theory, I mean, our industrialists are looking pretty strong, even though Our bureaucrats are the ones getting the bonuses to their clout. It's a fun little update so far, isn't it? I'm actually trying to figure out what to build while I talk as well, and that's not working out too well. Which is fine, I'm just noticing occasional issues with market access, and it's driving me nuts. Yeah, they kind of... What is Burgundy doing? I don't understand how the Netherlands has just... I mean, I know we helped the Netherlands form Burgundy and all that, but I am just astounded at the fact that Burgundy has just been going nuts in this game. I know we're their ally and everything, and that's half the reason why they're succeeding. But it's still really nice to see. I'm actually going to get a military shipyard and a regular shipyard in Venice, just because the lagoon does give benefits to them. I think Istria has a benefit too, though. It does. Actually, it has better shipyard bonuses. Yes? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I was misreading the port bonus. Ah, that's my bad. I misread the port bonus. That means we have no man o' wars now in our country. But that's fine, because we're switching all of our man o' wars over to ironclads. We don't really need to have little ships when we have much bigger ships now. Let's see. They should give in soon, chat, but this is going to devastate both our countries a bit. Hey, Sharky boy, welcome. Yeah, the threshold for census suffrage was also dropped. It used to be 15, but they dropped it to 10. I remember reading the patch notes for that specifically, so I can say that with great confidence. I know for a fact it was done. Actually, you know what, chat? We're going to stop taxing fine art. We're going to stay on normal taxes just to get our debt down, but we're going to start weaning off consumption taxes. That way the rich people can buy more goods. Don't worry about the peasants. They'll be fine. Now, I hope I'm correct. I don't remember if it happened, but I'm pretty certain the Heavenly Kingdom Revolt already occurred, chat. I can't remember the stream from last week, which is not good. But what I want to do is get a treaty port in Suzhou, because it has 2 mappy bonuses. The issue is that Qing has modernized their army. It is a lot smaller, but it does have skirmish infantry now, which means landing is a bit difficult. But we do have more troops than them because we have actually been adequately preparing our forces. And we do have shrapnel artillery, so there's a good chance we'd be fine. I have immediately turned off the production methods meant for our units. Here's what we'll do. We're gonna get all this ready to go. And we're actually gonna do 2 things. First off, I am gonna slightly develop the armed forces a little further. Because I am noticing that we have a shocking lack of artillery ready to go in our regiments. And I'd like lots of artillery if that's okay. Oh, yeah, no, it's 10 wealth. Oh, no, I think wealth voting used to be 25. 35 sounds really high, but it could have been 20. It could have been 35 at one point. I've played this game since it released. It's gone through so many changes, I can't remember as well as to what it used to be. So, we are going to go ahead and just position most of our armies at the Ethiopian HQ. Just to have them ready to... Actually, we'll just position them at the Nile HQ. That way they're right there. And we are going to go on our way to landing into Suzhou. Now, the Qing are fearful. I could try to just make them capitulate by adding a couple of Borgals that we don't care about, like humiliating Qing. I could do open market without intending to open the market. I actually want to keep the canton system, so that way they're over-reliant on our treaty port for trade. We could enforce trade privileges. That I would actually like. I don't really want to revoke their claims, and regime change doesn't give us any benefits. I think we'll just leave it at that. And we'll see if we can't pressure the Qing into surrendering. If they do, that's great. Why are there so many positivists coming around? Why do these people hate the church so much, chat? All it did was take all of their rights and power. Oh, Qing did back down, chat. Wow, that was surprisingly easy. I'm so glad we chose to go on this venture together, chat. It really, you know, it really just kind of worked out. I don't know why, but Steam just said I received a gift, and I recognize the name too. I'll have to look at that later. I'd like to first admire the fact that Burgundy has basically occupied France. France, a great power, has just been brought to heel by Burgundy single-handedly in a war. See, single-handedly has destroyed the French menace. And is now even larger on the map. Okay. I do see if we let the private construction handle everything, we actually can just drop taxes even further, which might actually help our standard of living. But what I'm gonna instead do is just revoke more consumption taxes, because right now our consumption taxes are kind of the only tax the upper strata is facing, and they're kind of the ones buying a lot of our more expensive products, such as the furniture that we make with our company. God, we could make more, you know. We could make so much more. I kind of don't want to spam power block statues, even though they get bureaucrats. I kind of want to see the universal pop strength booster and the 5 influence, but it spams the noise every time you put it down, and I feel like that would get really annoying on a stream very fast. Like, it would get extremely annoying extremely quickly, and I really don't want to subjugate you guys to that. That would be a near miserable experience. You know, I'm wondering, does national values... I assume national values doesn't work in a treaty port, but I'm kind of curious to see if it does. So I'm gonna kind of try to use it, but I assume because it's a unincorporated state, it won't do anything. Yeah, we're just gonna keep passing laws that make the Catholic Church happier. And I actually do want regulatory bodies anyway, just to reduce the mortality that some pops suffer. Because that would be pretty nice. Kaiserreich, where's the... Look, Mr. Raj, I'm flattered that you want to give me an obligation, but I don't think you're reaching that revolt anytime soon. I think your best bet is to wait until they starve from the lack of grain and just hope that's it. Hi, doggos are really wanting attention right now, so I'm just getting half distracted by them as well. And the best part about treaty ports, chat, that I really like, that I'm going to show you here in just a moment, you fully control the trade center in treaty ports. It is under your full control. That means you control the production method as well, but it's treated as a part of their market. So it's in the Qing market, but I have full control over its production method, its funding, everything. I can make it to where my companies own the whole thing, and you get a significant trade advantage from it being a treaty port. This is partially why I want to stick to it being a treaty port, although we really should get rid of mercantilism. It's to spike that relative advantage and force all of Qing's trade to go through the treaty port, so it's over-reliant on that trade. It's also because even if Qing cancels the enforced treaty that's forcing the treaty port on them, let's actually get Zeppelins next year. Even if they do that, since they're an unrecognized power, we will still keep the treaty port. They can break the treaty and do whatever they want. It doesn't matter. Treaty port stays. They have to deal with it no matter what. Our trade centers are going to see a temporary crash, but that's normal when you switch the amount of trade quantity from the production method. Your trade centers are always going to crash because there's a sudden spike in the amount of goods being imported and exported, which causes a temporary imbalance in your economy until it recovers. It will recover. You just need to be ready for it. Yeah, landed voting is a great pro-rich law. Although, that being said, they did make it to where the wages grow slower now. And the good news about that is that it is harder for the lower strata to get rich. You can absolutely make them rich still. It's just harder. I'm noticing that the Spectre hunting the world is actually gaining progress despite the police and homeland affairs. I guess people just aren't enjoying their lives that much, even though we're at 100 million pops in Austria proper. Hey, vulcanization. We might actually use that. Give me an enactment success chance. 45% is nice. Input goods shortage. What are they short on in the market? Oh. Oh. I guess when we took the treaty port, we stole a barracks as well. That's funny. I love that. I love that for us. So our trade capacity is now at 9,000, and there is always going to be... I feel like there's always going to be a little bit of unused capacity because of the constant fluctuations that occur. But it is still nice to see that it's growing over time. Speaking of which, now that we have access to that treaty port, even though our pop growth is actually... not our pop growth, but our amount of unemployed is actually getting lower, I do kind of want to just grow our construction a little more, just for fun. We'll probably try to start getting investment rights in various countries. I don't know how good that would be. Like, we could invest in Poland and Ukraine, maybe pull them in our sphere. We could also just enforce a protectorate on them at the cost of infamy. Oh! Greece actually used to be a Russian puppet, but now it's a protectorate. Oh, right, because Russia became a pariah. That's right. I mean, you know, chat, we could be heroes. We could start our own cut down to size war. No, I wouldn't do that. What we could do, actually, though, is maybe steal Bessarabia, but that's not really worth it just to give it to our Romanian subjects. It would be fun map painting. Yeah, the 35 wealth does help the wealthy a lot more. Oh, God. Oh, God. That seems dangerous. That would really empower the communist movement for a good couple of years. I don't think we want to empower the communist movement, considering we're trying to keep the trade unions down. So I think we'll just take the documents can wait choice. Yeah, I'll take the hit to our bureaucracy. Thankfully, we have a good bureaucratic state. It'll just let us pass the law a lot faster. Oh, the Kurds. Wait. So Russia is facing a Kurdish uprising, a Turkish uprising, and is facing an invasion by the United States, who apparently can't press the cut down to size war goal anymore because all the territory that Russia took just revolted against it. That's actually funny. The US started a cut down to size war, now it can't enforce the cut down to size because Russia no longer has the territory that it was going to lose. It lost it before the Americans could enforce the loss. I think we're just going to start building a lot of coal mines to get a lot of these peasants working elsewhere. Also because we're at that stage where coal is going to be in very high demand and we can easily export it. You know what? I'm surprised that we managed to get 3 years in without the economy crashing. It is stagnating now, though, because the GDP requirement only grows. But as you can see here, we're about at 450 million. There's 70 million GDP for the Germans we are not even accounting for. So instead of growing at 2.5% per quarter to make this work, we have to grow closer to 3.5%, which is just not happening. So we're just gonna have fun with it until it crashes, and then we'll enjoy the chaos that follows, just for fun. And do let me know if the audio quality for the stream is good or if there's any issues with it. We had a few issues last time, but we were able to fix it on stream, which was nice. Oh, the United Baltic Provinces. Yeah, Russia's kind of losing its grip. Oh, the Americans landed too. That's cool. Oh, not cool for Russia. Russia's probably really upset right now. It'd be really funny. I just realized I can build construction centers in Nantong and use Qing's market. I could artificially increase the demand of certain good... Hey, hang on, chat. I need to artificially increase the demand for certain products in Qing by building a lot... by building a lot of construction sectors. Hey, I just have to see what happens. I think I already know what happens. It's just a funny thought. Hey, level 2 social security. I don't know if we want too high of social security because I don't know where our social security is going right now. But it at least ensures that anyone who gets unemployed will have money to not starve. For a time at least. I can't guarantee those funds will last forever, so I hope they find a job one day. Speaking of jobs, I am going to switch our urban centers over to public transit, which is going to increase the demand for engines again in the market, which I'm fine with because we make some good engines, chat. Actually, you know what? The investment pool is building up so many, I don't even need to make some myself. Poor Laws is nice. Oh, there it is. So we only went about three years in before it crashed because again, you have to grow this by 2.5% every 3 months. However, that's assuming you're the only German country. We're not the only German country. So what we could do, actually, I mean, these are bad options for 5 years regardless, but we could take the one that gives the bourgeoisie a little more, pop attraction. I think we'll do that. So instead of getting a bonus to the investment pool, we now get a minus for 5 years, which, again, we expected, but at least we managed to make it last 3 years. A part of the issue that makes it a bit harder to achieve is that the GDP from construction is not counted for a week after construction is done. And so you have this kind of yo-yo situation where your GDP goes up and down from construction, which is not great. But also, you would have to have annexed all the other German states in the German region before it fires, so that way you are the only GDP that's being tracked. But it's fine. We abusingly used it for 3 years until it crashed on us. Oh, why are the land folks so happy? Oh, they're corporatists. Oh, shoot, really? Hey, that's nice. That won't last. They'll be gone soon, but it's nice to see. So now, of course, obviously, in this Chinese treaty port, we're having the issue of qualifications because there's not really that many clerks around. That's why you saw me enact the social mobility decree here. It was an attempt to get more... try to get more qualifications out of the Han, even though they're also being heavily discriminated against. I would like to get... what is it called? I would like to get multiculturalism in order to improve their acceptance. But that's not going to happen. And unsurprisingly, we can't really convert any of them. Not because of fervor or anything, it's just because it's an unincorporated state. So promote national values isn't going to work. Oh! I must have turned off social mobility. I must have turned off social mobility when I thought I turned off greener grasses. That's embarrassing. That also explains why the qualification gain looked lower than I expected. Okay, well, now it's fixed. Speaking of which, the construction sector can't really get bureaucrats either as a result. I don't think Neo-Absolutism requires monarchy, no. You just need this guy specifically to... Well, you just need a member of the bourgeoisie to be in charge, I believe is the initial trigger requirement. Because I'm pretty certain that... Yeah, the game's not saying it would remove Neo-Absolutism, so we technically could change our governance principles if we wanted to. We could do corporate state. I don't... Oh, I see, because we'd get more bourgeoisie clout. Right. It would be easier to maintain government size allowance, too. But our poor aristocrats, they'd lose their clout. Are you saying we need to bury the aristocrats even? Yeah, we can consider corporate state. Let me see. Yeah, you know, a lot of people would support this. The Kleinberger wouldn't, but that's because they're led by a traditionalist, so they're kind of like... No, sorry, not traditionalists, it's because they're reactionary. So, obviously, they wouldn't like it. But we could do it. The Catholic Church would actually back it right now because they're led by a theocrat. And that's kind of the only reason I think they're backing it, actually, because I think otherwise they would... Yeah, moralist makes them support monarchy over corporate state. It's funny, because it means positivists and corporatists are coming together to pass this. No, corporate state only gives 100 authority compared to monarchy's 200 authority. But we can go ahead and do the switch anyway, because our aristocrats have been losing a lot of power, and we want to empower something like bureaucrats. Plus, it makes the Catholic Church happy, so we get more growth from it, and the industrialists are now happy, so they're actually giving some investment efficiency, which is counteracting the ongoing crash that we're currently experiencing. You know what? We're going to do another tax cut for the rich, because I'm just kind of letting the private investment pool take over a lot of construction right now, so the companies are just kind of going nuts. We'll still do our own constructions. Yep, there's the Han National Movement, which I kind of expected. You know, maybe we can use this to pass multiculturalism. I mean, we'll try to pass corporate state quickly here first, but I'll suppress this for now to see if I can't keep it weak. We might pivot to trying to pass multiculturalism. But we'll see. I'm not sold on which path we'll go with here. I'm kind of just going with the flow, so to speak. Oh, you know, we could build universities in Nantong. We could see we're gonna bring them education. I feel like at this point, unless we want to go ham and just start enforcing regime change to enforce monarchies on the republics, we're kind of just coasting along with a empowered Kaiserreich. Although corporate state technically removes the Kaiserreich, I guess we could say we're turning it around. Oh, it actually failed. The socialist movement actually failed. Excellent. I will take the 5 legitimacy. That is very nice. Public address goes awry. That's normal. Because I'm pretty sure if they revolt, we lose our treaty port for good, chat. So if I have to pivot and enact a different law, I will, just to preserve the integrity of the treaty port. Plus, look at all that tea they're exporting now. How nice. You just support them to crush the trade union. Fair enough. So is Dynam just too weak to be a... Yeah, okay, yeah, I was gonna say there's no way Qing suddenly lost its clout and their opponent was really strong. So we just got Zeppelins in 1884, which is definitely gonna help the economy. Would have been nice if we got it before the crash, but I don't think that was happening. Actually... Ooh, electricity would be a nice step. We're getting that by tech spread, though, so I don't want to focus on that. I would like malaria prevention, just for the next level of health systems, for more public health care. Political agitation is nice. Maybe get outlaw dissent. Really just the authority. There's always corporate... I think we'll grab corporate governance next, though, just to get our next company, because I think we wanted to grab the Art Academy next just to be funny. Just to be really funny. Because normally you don't take the Art Academy, it's kind of eh. I also just realized, chat, I can just mass enforce regime change to break up all these citizenship laws, which is really funny. Technically, I'm enforcing Orthodox state religion too, but I feel like that's not as problematic. So Bulgaria at least has a autocracy. Violence against South Italian peoples. We're on cultural exclusion. How are you having such mass violence? What did you do? Oh yeah, look at that. They've gone up by several levels. They had fallen below 60. Now they're at 62. Ooh. I would like the trade capacity because it's fun, but I always take that 2 years of plus 30 army offense. It's honestly just kind of the best thing to take. And I really want to kind of get these liberty desires down, but that support independence is the big issue. Scandinavia formed. Eh. Don't worry, it's just Scandinavians. They're not going to come take our money. Actually, they might. I don't know, I didn't check. Let's do this. We're gonna kind of spread influence over Ukraine and Poland. I thought about invading them, but we'll take a more diplomatic... Oh, do they hate us? Yeah, okay. Poland hates us, so we might have beat them over the head. But we're kind of giving a guarantee of independence in exchange for investment rights into some of these countries we liberated before. Brazil hating us is nothing new. I actually would like to befriend Qing at some point as well. But that might be a long while. They're kind of upset about being invaded. Which, I understand. Being invaded is no fun. Well, my idea here now is to just kind of spread our investments, let the economy keep growing. We actually could very much drop to low taxes and be fine at this point. Let the average standard of living increase. I kind of want to do more invasions too, though. Like, maybe we'll annex Saxony, who's our protectorate, but again, that requires us to just get Liberty Desire down. Although, in saying that, we could just... Yeah, I guess we... that's 12 infamy, though. Because we have to be the good guys, chat. We have to be the good guys in this age of liberty. Although, if someone like France ever has a autocratic revolt. Whoa! Okay, we're not switching to the domestic tree anymore for foreign countries, chat. Apparently, the fix for the audio has made a new bug for domestic trees if the foreign country has a lot of ongoing revolts. So, we are not doing that again. We are going to ignore domestic trees for the duration of this stream. Morocco, I'd love it if you became my subject, but... What about enforcing regime change? I can't enforce that on the British, can I? Not in this, no. It's probably similar IGs. What are they doing to Morocco anyway? Oh, it's like full conquest. Like they're going in to just kill them. Okay. Oh, I do not know why the game gets laggy while you're looking at this part of the screen. It is a weird bit of lag. You know what? I kind of don't. I don't think it's worth dying for Morocco, chat. Look, we have a navy, but the British have like 3 times our size. And we need to at least upgrade our frigates first. I think what we'll instead do is take this as a sign that the Navy needs a healthy expansion. And by a healthy expansion, I mean we need to triple its budget. Well, double it in this case. Which is exactly what we'll do. 2 Sicilies joined, so now I'm concerned, actually, because... Okay, now I will kind of join this. I wasn't going to, but if 2 Sicilies is about to get beaten over the head... Because I don't want the British to get investment rights in 2 Sicilies. That's the only reason why I want to join. Is so the British don't get investment rights in 2 Sicilies. Which is just being petty at that point. Oh, you know what? If I took British Eastern Guangdong... Oh, it's not a treaty port anymore. I see, okay. So we have the only treaty port in Qing right now, then. That's nice. I could enforce investment rights into Britain, but I feel like that's not really worth bleeding for just to then invest into a rival's economy and make it really strong. You know, I feel like... Oh, wow, they lost Gibraltar at some point to Spain. I didn't notice that. Ah. You know, a lot has happened in this game that we haven't noticed, I feel like. Or maybe it's just, it's been a week and I haven't noticed. I forgot. And that's why I haven't noticed. I think we'll just join for the obligation on Morocco. Just to protect them. We could do... I was vaguely considering liberating the Raj. But I think in this case, we're just gonna kind of sphere of influence over Morocco. Maybe we should do that to Algeria, too, just because of their position. Ooh. More bourgeoisie attraction. Don't mind if I do. But yeah, we'll at least mess with the British and blockade them. Could do... I did consider liberate Raj. I guess I'm just trying to see if we keep the British Empire semi-together. Well, I guess that's more of a republic than an empire at this point, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, there's a revolt. There's a revolt going on in Japan as this war breaks out. What great timing. So, I will mobilize the other armies before I forget. I do see impending naval invasions. Actually, they have left home completely open. Of course, doing this naval invasion is just going to attract them straight back to home, but that's okay. A proletariat revolt in Japan, and then Japan itself can't be made into a subject because it's too big. Well, that's fair. I think the corporatist ideology supports both public schools and religious schools at the exact same level. Although if this Han nationalist movement gets to 90% secession on its militancy, I am going to have to switch over to trying and pass multiculturalism to cool them down. Because they're very upset right now from the whole being annexed by a foreign power thing. You know, it's not, It's not a really fun experience, apparently, for them. Especially being massively discriminated in their own home. God, the university barely has anyone working in it, too. On top of the fact the trade center's not even fully operational. Yeah, you know what? A downside here is that all these convoy raids are going to mess up our trade. Good thing we have a lot of convoys to lose. You know, we can afford a pretty big loss before it's too bad. That's the real reason for all these fleets of trade ships. I don't think we're winning, though, chat, even though we have the increased offense, because they did pull a lot of troops back here. Yeah. Even with the numbers, but I think that's going to make it easier for Morocco to survive. Problem is that I don't think this war ends anytime soon, because the British culture is very high fervor. And our second navy just isn't really prepared and ready to go. We can send it out to blockade or convoy raid somewhere, but I don't think it lasts. Yeah, that naval invasion isn't working. There's too many pops. And now Egypt's suffering a revolt, which we're going to have to go put down. Which we can do. It's just kind of like several things are on fire now. What do we focus first? Well, it's at least tying down some of their troops, but we're going to have to replace those losses later, and that will take a bit. The good news is that their attempt to invade Morocco by land isn't succeeding, so we at least have that going for us. Yeah, naval invasion failed. So let's kind of try to protect our own convoys for now, then, so our overseas forces in Morocco don't lose too much strength. Because I noticed... Why is it selecting all this? That's only 9%. We'll be fine for now. Canada supported by Austria. Allows Austria to build in Canada. You know what? Sure. I want to support some insurrection in a foreign economy. Why not? What could go wrong? Grab some more conscripts too while we're at it. I don't want to increase our construction levels and number of construction sectors because our number of peasants is now below 1 million. We have rather few peasants left at this point, chat. Which is good for the economy, but it also means I can't really afford to build faster and more at once. Because I'm not going to have anyone to employ in the buildings, and we're going to kind of be stuck here with a bunch of empty factories. In fact, let's kind of just start doing mass rail transportation in the mines. I know that's going to cause a lot of places to have transportation shortages. I'm kind of expecting that and almost banking on it, and then we're just going to... Well, we're just going to have to build more, I guess. But you know what else we can do? Is start activating our electrical revolution. I don't think this is going to be wise, but my usual rule of thumb is to just build a bunch of level 5 power plants. Because either you'll have too much power and you won't have to touch that area again for a while, or it's just enough to get everything kick-started, and we can roll it from there. Company time. Company time is money time. There's a lot of good companies. What do we have again? Let's see. Food industries, paper. Right, okay, we really aren't doing much with mines, I've noticed. But we did kind of want to play into that partial academic ownership for fun. Although I'm pretty sure academics always lean more to the intelligentsia, right? I actually don't know. Well, with all the modifiers we have, they're actually leaning in towards the bourgeoisie more, but they nominally, unless they're very wealthy, they tend to lean towards the intelligentsia more. But considering our next ruler is a member of the intelligentsia, it's arguably not a bad idea to just boost them up further. We could destroy everyone's art academies with our own. It's not a very productive method for the economy, but it would be a really funny one. always steel. Ah, you know what? This actually does railroads along with iron and steel, and I don't think we have steel or iron. No. Ah. I don't know, Vincent. What do you think? I'm stuck between the actually very highly productive company that can get railroads, or just being really funny and grabbing art academies. We still have one more company slot after this one, but now it's just one of those things of, do I want to be funny or do I want to make the economy grow faster? Until, you know, it crashes inevitably because it hits a wall. Do we even export steel? Barely, but we could export more if we thought about it. I will look at technologies real quick while I figure that out, because I do know that I want malaria prevention. We also need to grab these techs too here for more automation purposes. We actually want to think about conveyors. Bourgeoisie and capitalist pop maxing. Okay, so if we want capitalist pop maxing, then partial academic ownership's not a good idea, because that's less capitalists, more academics. So something that gives full capitalist ownership or partial shopkeeper ownership is what you'd want. We have just a lot of capitalist buildings, and aristocrat buildings are here and there. I'm pretty sure the company we already have active to begin with. Which one was it? The chairs here. I think they're partially owned by... No, they're actually full capitalists. Never mind. Right, partial bureaucrat ownership. That was the one we had going on. I couldn't remember what it was. I knew we had one. I just couldn't remember what it was. In that case, I'm gonna do this one. We're gonna set up a new company in West Galicia. We're gonna give it its monopolies. We're gonna give it railways, and we're gonna give it a railway monopoly. The Suez Canal, Mr. Louis, I do love the Suez Canal. The problem is that they did remove the extra company slot that you get from the Suez Canal. If I can find it in this list here. They did remove it, and they replaced it with a free company charter, which is not as good. If you want a company that focuses on trade centers, ports, and shipyards, it's decent, because you'll get the special merchant marines. But you no longer get that company slot that made it really, really strong. So it's kind of like, eh. Oh, the leader of the industrialists just changed. They're a little upset by what we're trying to do now. Unqualified to lead. Yeah, and it's from the industrialists too. So corporate state might actually fail to pass at this rate now that the industrialists are led by a member of the free market. I'm pretty sure it's largely due to pressure from the liberal movement, which we're still suppressing, by the way. Corporatist movement got pretty strong, though. I mean, yeah, we'll actually stop suppressing the positivist movement, and we'll bolster the corporatist movement. Just because the positivists actually support moving to a corporate state right now. That's what we're trying to do. Yeah, that lack of company slot is kind of the main reason why I don't want to do the canal anymore. Oh, I forgot to do what we were also kind of doing on the earlier stream of starring each of the buildings instead of the corporation to just kind of follow them and see how they do. But that's more capitalists and more clerks. It's actually based in Krakow. That's great. I love it. Steel prices are going to crash despite the new monopoly, but that's probably just going to increase our exports of it, which I don't mind. We're kind of ignoring the war that's going on too, so hopefully we're not going to be needed for any war-related matters anytime soon, because I have kind of stopped paying attention to the ongoing conflict with Britain. Maybe I should take a look. Okay, no, we're fine. Honestly, I think we'll be okay. The absolutist movement technically doesn't help the corporate state. I was just boosting it because I thought it was very fitting for what we're doing with Neo-Absolutism. But I guess we can stop bolstering it and just move on to a corporatist vision as a new form of Neo-Absolutism. Might be fun. Oh, there's a Polish uprising in Prussia. Man, poor Prussia is just getting beaten down. France is attempting to reclaim Occitania. They're not willing to grant us anything, chat, but we might back Occitania anyway, just to prevent France from regaining power. Because remember, the French really don't like us. They really don't like us. And they don't even want to give us an obligation because of ideological differences. It's because they have the landowners. They have the landowners and the rural folk. That's weird. Very weird. We can't support France because our relations with them are hostile. They're supporting separatism in us. They rivaled us and they embargoed us. So, France isn't really our friend in this game. Occitania is. They let us invest into them. And technically, we have guaranteed their independence. So, we are actually technically obligated to back them, defensively speaking. Oh, Spain just joined Occitania. I think it's over for France in that case. Where is our 4th army? Somewhere. Oh, right. You know, maybe France doesn't have this. Maybe France just loses. I would go for, like, the humiliation casus belli. The problem is that they won't grant it to me. Occitania does not want our help. So I think what we'll actually instead do... Oh, no, that broke the declaration. Right. That's... I forgot they added that in, that the declarations can break like that. So I don't think they would agree to it at all now, right? Because they're antagonistic. Yep, let me... I keep forgetting that happens now, even if they don't act on it. I'll quickly reload that because... Yeah, we'll just support them unconditionally. That's what we should do in the first place, because I forgot what happens is when you click this... Oh, that's interesting, actually, chat. Maybe that's why I forgot. It's not... Normally it tells you if doing this will break a treaty, but it's not telling me that it's going to break the Treaty of Guaranteed Independence. So that's why I kind of didn't notice, on top of being too quick. It's not telling us that, even though it's supposed to. So that's kind of why we didn't notice it. Still, we're gonna kind of just let Africa burn a bit and go back up. Like, we have 4 generals that know adamant defense, which is crazy. Technically, the goals against Britain are to seize Malta and enforce investment rights. So invading British Senegal doesn't actually help this here. I just wanted to advance forward a little, just to give Britain a bloody nose. The whole point was just give Britain a bloody nose. That was it. No other reason. No. You need to stay here. Oh, hey. Bourgeoisie general. Fantastic. Guaranteed aristocrat. Why are the aristocrats getting... Why are there so many aristocrat generals appearing, even though they have very little clout at this point? I swear, they just worm their way into everything, no matter what we do. Man, Vincent, you just really want France to suffer in this game. I respect the dedication, but, like, you really want them to just suffer. It's kind of scary. Oh my god, this steel mill. This steel mill is paying an average annual wage of 2? Oh my god. These poor pops. I mean, most of them are French and Alemannic, but, like... Why are my games becoming like this, where pops are paid so poorly they can barely survive? I made a meme earlier on Twitter, that exact scenario is France, where I was paying pops in Carnatic so little, the engineers were at a struggling standard of living. I I don't even know how I did it. It just kind of happened. I have multiculturalism in that game too now, and they're still being paid poorly. It's really, really wild. Those poor pops did nothing wrong except exist in that area, and they're suffering for it. They're suffering for existing. That was their mistake, I guess. Oh wow, and brutal labor abuses. We'll take whatever lowers the enacted success chance the least. Oh, okay, hang on. I need to bring one of our armies back because we do have a navy protecting our coastline, but I want to bring one of our armies back anyway because if they get a landing, we're kind of doomed. I don't think they'll get the landing, but they always could if we don't do anything about it. Oh, the armed forces just became marginalized. Which is not really surprising. The French did the one thing wrong, just being French. That's so mean. I suppose it's technically true, but that's also really mean. Our administrative strain goes away in a few months, so that's nice. Same with the crash. Actually, the administrative strain goes away in 2 weeks. Unsurprisingly, Qing is still quite antagonistic towards us. I do not blame them. The good news is that the increasing qualifications here are working. There's now 1.2k clerks per month, thanks to the university and promote social mobility. So now the Trade Center in Nantong is actually doing really well. It's got 92 productivity. Look at that money. Oh man, the company's making so much. Because the Austria Paper Company owns that, chat. I think it's their most productive building is the Trade Center. By dividends. So what's their total income? I'm curious. Wow, so it's about 1/10 of their weekly balance. About 1/10 of their weekly balance. Alright, it is... So now we're called the Federal State of Austria, even though we're a corporate state. Does it still consider us a Kaiserreich? It still considers us a Kaiserreich. Interesting. We still have heirs. Wait. Oh no! So, chat, quick issue. It doesn't tell you this, but apparently switching off monarchy does disable Neo-Absolutism. It does not tell you it when in the tooltips when you're doing your activity, but it does actually remove it. Even though we apparently still have an heir. Because I guess we're autocratic. Huh. That's awkward. So we could just quickly reload to switch back and not do corporate state. Or we could just do corporate state anyway for the fun of it. I'm honestly open for either thing because it's entertaining either way. Because, yeah, we could switch to oligarchy then for the capitalist bonus. I suppose. Yeah, I guess we'll do that. I'm gonna need to make a note of that later and share it with the devs that switching off monarchy kicks you off Neo-Absolutism, and the game does not tell you this. Because if you're doing something like, say, making it to where there's no longer votes, it will let you know that it's gonna kick you off of elected bureaucrats. There's another law as well, I forget what it is, that if you do a switch to a specific law, it will kick you off it. The game also tells you about that, too. So having it not tell you that it's going to kick you off Neo-Absolutism feels like an oversight. Actually, look at this, chat. The game's not even saying whether or not we can enact it. It's just saying we don't have any success chance in enacting it. Because no one supports it. There's nothing here saying that not being a monarchy would kick us off. It just kicked us off without saying anything. Yeah, we could do oligarchy. I just want to like float technocracy by you for just like 2 seconds because of the free company. Okay, we'll do oligarchy. Yeah, I know we want to enrich the capitalists further. Because right now the capitalists would actually support passing technocracy, which does give us a free company. But that does buff academics and engineers, not capitalists. So, unsurprisingly, the bureaucratic cloud has just collapsed, which actually killed the intelligentsia of all things. All right, we'll do oligarchy. We are still technically an absolutist state, I guess. This is a very weird form of neo-absolutism. I don't know. It's just very awkward to me that we got kicked off it without being told. But we still have the same Kaiser, and we still have an heir, which is kind of strange, actually, that it still has the heir system going on. I assume that's because we're autocratic, and that's just, you know, how it works. Whoa, wait. Two Sicily somehow got a naval invasion off in the Raj. Man. Now I really wish we had, just targeted that instead. I didn't even think we'd get a landing there. You know what? Good job to Two Sicilies, even though they're currently being slaughtered as we speak. They were able to do something I thought they couldn't do. So, props to them. For succeeding where I thought they'd fail. Yeah, as this recruits more, it's probably going to drop down. That's okay. Oligarchy rolled the 6% stall chance. Ay. Up, the Polish revolt in Prussia succeeded. And now Poland has actually annexed it. That's pretty cool. Got malaria prevention. Honestly, not sure what to go for next. Could grab political agitation since it's already tech spreading, but I think a lot of the production techs were going to... You know what? I want cars, chat. We need some Austrian cars. Who made Italian Florida man a general admiral? I don't know. It just happened, I guess. It just kind of happened. So it's coal mines and railways is what they benefit. That's not bad. Yeah, that's decent. Is that a Prussian uprising in... Yeah, it is. That's interesting. I think this war is just going to go on until Britain gets bored. I don't know when Britain will get bored. Actually, Britain... Never mind, Britain just got bored. That's technically a victory for us, though, because we prevented Britain from expanding its sphere. I'm surprised you become the federal state of Austria without doing the, well, I guess technically we never did the journal entry, did we? It's just kind of the tag you get for switching over to this. Honestly, if we had a variant of suffrage, we could activate the corporatist journal entry for Austria. But I think the whole point of that is to let you swing into corporatism. I don't think there's really a point in activating it. Plus, passing law, we could pass the law and activate it, but I don't know if that's what we want to do here. You know what? What do you say we just drop taxes even lower, chat, just to calm the masses down so they can't blame us for their poor standard of living? It's not my fault they're all poor and being paid almost no wages. It might be partially my fault. We never really did pass the minimum wage law to begin with. And nor do I intend to pass one anytime soon. Alright, Ukraine's in the power block now. Russia's also attacking... Wait. So Greece started a war to seize the Ionian Islands, causing Russia to back it against Britain. So now... Okay. I think we dropped all of our consumption taxes. Yeah, we're actually on our lowest taxation possible with per capita right now. This is about as low as you get without abolishing taxes outright. We're kind of just letting the, oh wow, we're actually making almost 90k on tariffs. I didn't realize we were tariffing wood this whole time. Oh. I think India blew up anyway. Huh. What do you know? We didn't have to liberate India after all. It just blew itself up after the war. I'm also noticing the secession movement in Nantong is weakening, which is a good sign. Although the population here is growing still, yeah. Well, not that it matters. It just means the treaty port gets more trade. Actually, how is Qing's economy doing? Yeah, Qing's economy has started to grow in the last couple of years thanks to all this trade. Probably because all the tea that they're making is now actually getting exported from the trade center here, as you can see. And that's making all of them richer. So that's pretty cool. I feel like the stream title kind of lies now, though, because now this isn't really Austrian Neo-Absolutism. But I guess in a way it also is, because the industrialists and Catholic Church kind of rule the country. It's our unique version of it, by lieu of, we didn't know the game was going to kick us off if we switched government principles. And then it kicked us off. I'm gonna be really funny, chat. I don't think it's gonna work, but I'm just gonna start funding lobbies in Qing, since we have a lot of extra money, just to see if it actually causes a lobby to form in Qing that's supportive of us. Neo-Absolutism. Yeah, it's like, it's the second iteration of Neo-Absolutism. We just passed oligarchy. Wait. Wait, we could get it back. Hang on, we can actually get it back. The absolutist movement actually supports it. Wait, we might be able to actually do that then. Hang on. Oh, if I had known this was coming. Oh, the road maintenance and the cyanide. I totally forgot about that. It would be hard to actually pass it because of the resistance to it, but we could get it back. Nah, what do you mean, nah? With the pure... Sorry, I find it incredibly funny that we switched to corporate state. The game kicked us off Neo-Absolutism. We switched away from autocracy, and now it's like, hey, you want to have it back? Also, I'd like to say that we somehow still have the air system, even though we're an oligarchy. Neo-Absolutism. You just want to see capitalists with extremely high political strength. Speaking of which, political agitation just unlocked. So, if anyone wants to start agitating for laws, the required technology for that just unlocked. If you'd like to, of course. I won't force you to. Speaking of which, what boosts corporatism? High literacy, clergymen, aristocrats. Aristocrats? Huh. Interesting, because I see capitalists supporting this, and I'm very fascinated as to why. Time modifiers, acceptance, literacy. Is your literacy not high? I guess it isn't. Yeah, I guess we'll just keep bolstering the corporatist movement then. The problem, though, is that we might get trade unions from this because, right, yeah, that bug. I just wanted to come see the trade unions. Because they'll want to actually repeal the Combination Acts and pass corporatized unions instead. But then at that point, you're just making the trade unions support corporatism, which, yeah, kind of dark for them, I'd say. How much rubber is there in the world? Because I know I don't have 10,000 rubber. Only a couple hundred. Why is Spain the biggest exporter of rubber? Because of Cuba, right? No? Philippines, then. Yep, Philippines. Okay. Glad we could figure that out. Glad we could figure that out. Oh. I don't want to get more subjects now. Capitalists of Neo-Absolutism. I feel like you've been bribed, good sir. Oh, apparently there was an uprising in Ufa in Russia. I didn't even notice. It died so fast. Huh. Kind of sad that they died so fast that we didn't even notice. But I suppose it's fine. Perhaps it wasn't very important for us to note anyway. Let's see. Now that we have more trade potential, I need... I need to reconcile with the fact that I do not have pops anymore. And I don't know if we're ever going to get pops to migrate here. I'm just glad our pop growth is near 2%. Oh, that's a really high productivity. I mean, some of these businesses aren't paying their workers as much, so it could just be that. North Italians simulating into South German. Cute. Oh, see, this is why we need that art academy company. Look at how expensive fine art's gotten. Neo-Absolutism evolving into Neo-Absolutism. So, yeah, our absolutism is just taking different forms and evolving, is what I understand here. That's fair. No, Egypt. You cannot have increased autonomy. We literally fought a war over this. Thankfully, allowing our infamy to go down is greatly reducing. That is a lot of independent supports you have. I keep forgetting that subjects can support each other for independence even when they're puppets. But I actually like that it's a feature, because it means that if all of your subjects hate you, they can just revolt against you. They're not forced to do it one at a time or something really stupid like that. They're able to collectively fight back against you. It's very nice. It's not great for me, I guess, but it's very nice. Yeah, right. The Austrian aristocracy is almost dead too, I'd like to note, now that their sources of power have been dwindling. Speaking of which, I forgot we had passed oligarchy. We could actually pass more laws. I kind of zoned out there and wasn't thinking. We could give women rights in the workplace next, chat, which would drop our birth rate by 5%, but give us 5% more workforce. Ooh. Do we switch to free trade? No. Remember, Vincent, we already decided that we're not gonna curtail women's rights. A part of the Neo-Absolutism is that we're actually going to let people have work, because the corporation needs more work. I would like to get multiculturalism, especially while we have an enlightened royalist in charge still. But that stall chance is way too high for us to do much of anything. That's with the stall chance modified reduced. Goodness, that is a lot of resistance. So I guess we won't be getting multiculturalism, which is fine. I think what we'll actually do is we'll just try to give women rights maybe after we replace the. Can I replace him now? Yes, I can. Sorry, I had to go to that screen to replace the bourgeoisie leader with a corporatist. It's for the greater good, you understand. I mean, we could do private healthcare. It does buff the bourgeoisie. My mortality reduction. Although, once they reach a certain point, the mortality per wealth is the same, I believe. Well, it used to be at 20, but then they buffed public health insurance a bit, so I'm not too certain about that now. I guess we could do it, actually. Yeah, you know what? We could do it as a form of embracing the whole Neo-Absolutism. I'm not going to keep saying it with two Neos. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll embrace it. I'll embrace your line of thinking here for the fun of it. Just our bureaucracy back, too. Invading the United States. That's ambitious. Are they in a war right now, maybe? No? Oh, wow. Tea has gotten really expensive. Wait, chat, I just realized. So our trade center in Qing is causing an export of over 10,000 tea. well, okay, it's causing about 9,000 exports in tea. Qing exports of it themselves. We are then importing all that tea. So our treaty port in Qing is causing a mass export of tea that we then import. And all of those trade centers are owned by the same company. So they're making a profit off of exporting tea from Qing and then making a profit off of importing tea from Qing at the same time. And the treaty port in Qing actually boosts our import of it. Oh, that's amazing. I love treaty ports in Qing. The problem is just whenever the Heavenly Kingdom Revolt occurs, if you took Suzhou, it's pretty much guaranteed to trigger here. But a treaty port in Suzhou is so good because the 10% market access boost that you get from its state modifiers makes the trade very beneficial for you. Because the local price is going to be really close to the actual price in the market. Despite it being an unincorporated state, you won't get a full 100%, but it fully counteracts the unincorporated state part of it. I think it's around 25-ish now, up from 20, because they did modify and kind of tweak where the numbers were. But I'm not fully certain on that for private healthcare. I am kind of guessing. Austria is a good skyscraper site. Of course it is. Where else are the trade centers going to get all their business from? Oh, hey, a random corporatist agitator appeared. I was about to go make the mistake of triggering the music again, but oh, it's a theocrat who's supporting it. Okay, that's fair. That makes sense. And it's gonna help keep corporatism at 20% though. Oh wait, no, but he's not popular. He's an opium addict. Oh no. Tragedy in the woods. What? Wait, what is this? Wait, isn't this our heir? Wait, what? He's dead? Wait, so he dies before he becomes... Oh, no. So who's in charge now? Oh, Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Huh. You know, chat, I feel like this guy's gonna be really important in the future somewhere in the Balkans. I can't remember why. I can't remember why. Oh, I'd love to support Russian, trade unionists who still don't appear in the country because they're too weak. Oh, true. It's gonna be hard for World War I to happen because Serbia's our protectorate, huh? And yeah, Germany doesn't exist. France is in a weakened state. Technically, World War I could still fire over it, but it'd be a very different World War I, that's for sure. The national movement's starting to get upset again, I noticed. I'm going to assume that's because there's a lot of unemployed in the state. Yeah, and they're probably not too happy. Oh, maybe we eventually figure out a solution to that. We could send in the troops, but I don't think... Sorry, I've just got to concoct really terrible ideas here while we play. You know what? I think we'll grab Central Planning next just to boost the National Guard. Is it the National Guard we're on? Yeah, we're on the National Guard, that's right. Totally forgot about the Workplace Safety Office after we enacted it. Hey, we're getting Ukrainians from Russia. Probably be better if we got Ukrainians from Ukraine, but... You know, I'll take whatever pops we can get at this point. Wherever they're from. Good news about making sure Ukraine's in our sphere of influence is that they don't get... Russia doesn't fall back into it. That's true. Russia is kind of being lit on fire. They're actually being lit on fire by Britain, of all things. What is Britain trying to grab right now, anyway? Aside from nuking Greece, apparently. Yeah, I think the Russians are kind of done. And then Britain lost the Raj. So that has caused their economy to stagnate. Although Bengal managed to keep... I think thanks to an ongoing revolt, Bengal managed to keep a good deal of the territory they'd otherwise lose. I think they're pretty genial actually, so maybe we can entice them a little. Maybe not with investment rights, trade privileges. Yeah. Although they'll probably form their own power block later. I figured we'd just spread our influence over them because why not? We already have the potential, we might as well do it. There's a revolution in North Germany? The socialist revolution in North Germany. I kind of want the socialists to win just to reset our relations with Prussia, but Russia's too far gone at this point, if we're honest, chat. So it would spike our infamy, but we could make Poland a subject. And, you know, a Polish subject could be fun. It's not like we annexed the last one that we had earlier or anything. Saxony's still pretty upset with us, though. Actually, a lot of our subjects are pretty upset with us because they keep getting support of independence. I kind of want to beat up Scandinavia because of that. What is Poland doing, actually? A lot of nothing. Which, I guess, is fine. Private health insurance is gonna pass. Woe to everyone who was relying on the public version, I guess. It's actually gonna hurt our standard of living a bit, but maybe that's for the best. Did I ever upgrade us to level 4 healthcare? I did. I was not paying any attention to that. I should have been, though. I should have been. How's the Navy doing? It's doing pretty good. So, chat, I am vaguely considering the war with the United States. I don't know. I don't recall how the AI treats treaty ports when they're a great power, if the US is just going to break it in 5 years or not. But it would be really funny if we got a treaty port in the United States. We've got a few years before we have to do the war, so, you know, we'll consider it. Oh, man, they really don't, even after all the help we gave them, they actually don't want to get a power block. Okay. Oh no, what happened? Why is the Catholic Church upset? Well, whatever was causing them to support us is gone now. Oh well, we'll just work. We'll work back into their good graces again. It was probably one of the times modifiers probably ended. That's what it was. Yeah. That usually does it. Really should probably get off mercantilism just because of, it does benefit exports, though. I guess it doesn't really matter. I keep thinking I need to get off it, but in reality, I don't think it really matters that much. Like, we could get off it, but I don't think it really matters. Yeah, we could do free trade. We're just going to miss out on the lovely 93k revenue of tariffs from all the importation of wood that we've been doing. Because apparently we can't make our own wood at this point. But I guess that at that point, it's just a different form of taxation. Oh, the socialist movement would actually get pretty upset about that. Real quick, let's get more workers from women in the workplace, because we have a lot of pop growth anyway. We had a lot of pop growth. It just fell because of our changes. Yeah, it's still positive income overall. We won't do the switch immediately because I want to get more women in the workforce, but I will take off the tariffs on wood and sugar as preparation for ending the tariffs as a whole. So that'll still get rid of almost all of our tariff revenue. And it will actually allow the trade centers to more easily import wood without an issue, now that I think about it. What is happening? Spain and Burgundy are going to war. And of course, Burgundy's calling us in because obviously we're their ally, so We do have to answer the Burgundian call. Well, we don't have to answer. We could have just ignored it, I guess. But technically, Brazil, our rival, joined, so... There's good reason to have joined anyway. You know, maybe this is a good way to see how that works. I don't think Brazil has a mappy state, does it? I don't think it does. It's got like a lot of good beneficial states, but nothing that benefits market access. Yeah. In that case, what about population? It's also bad. It's just bad all around. Okay, at that point, in that case, why not just give me a treaty port in Brazil's capital? There we go. I had to rate that too because there's two different Rios at the start of their Senate structure. It's very easy to get confused there if you're not paying attention. The other navy. Oh, ooh, no. I want the newspaper support. That helps a lot. I thought about liberating Catalonia, but I'm actually going to go for the treaty port in Brazil, and I want to see if in 5 years afterwards, does Brazil cancel the treaty port, or do they just... Oh my goodness. Yeah, Russia's going to be missing a couple million pops by the end of this war. Apparently, Britain's just gone to nation ruining. Oh, it just ended. Yikes. I mean, that was kind of brutal. That was kind of brutal of you, Britain. Got a lot of troops over here. Not that I think it'll matter too much. Russia might temporarily lose its great power status unless its army recovers enough. I think their army will recover enough, but... we'll see. Another political movement vanished. I've been noticing that the cultural movements have been slowly vanishing as time has passed on. Wood's getting cheaper now that they can import it at a cheaper price. The wonders of a free market when you stop taxing everything. Well, at least in the video game. Yeah, we are depressingly low on pops at this point. I have to think about investing in our subjects for more coal and other goods. We don't have the art company. If you recall, we grabbed the company that gave us iron and steel. We also gave them railways, so our railways are actually doing really good in certain states right now. In certain states, other states are suffering. But I'm gonna grab the art academy as our last one, probably, if we still have time then. I think I need the other navy down here just to do 2 separate invasions, because one invasion is not cutting it. On the bright side, though, the bourgeoisie have regained strength thanks to the new laws around healthcare. Yeah, the next company will be probably the art company. I don't think the Suez is worth it personally, just because you don't get that company slot. I think the company slot is just what made it so valuable. Nope, we're just gonna do the invasion again. Let's actually just work towards macroeconomics for the sake of the economy. That didn't go away. There we go. Yeah, the invasion of Brazil might not work out too well because they do have a lot of troops. Though maybe we can get it to work out if we just throw other troops on it after these exhaust themselves. Yeah, no, they have a lot of defense. Yeah, 62, that's a good amount. I mean, it's fine. It also means they're unable to invade us, so this will probably just be a war where we come in, we fulfill our obligation, and then we just kind of leave. If it doesn't work out. That's a lot of tea exports. What about our own trade capacity at home? We actually have a lot of excess. just wondering if maybe we need to... Oh, yeah, we're importing a lot of wood now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we could blockade them instead. That would just prevent them from helping to go elsewhere. I forgot we didn't really, we didn't set these back over to the blockade mode, did we? I don't know how much Brazil's importing, though. Oh, Brazil's in the American market. Okay. I see. This is not theirs. That's America's. Interesting. Okay. Well, now I really want this treaty port. I really want this treaty port now, chat. Because it's a gateway into the American economy without invading America. Although we do have the lobby demand to attack America. So we might still do it. Now that they've had time to recover, we'll just bring them back over. Ah, well, Spain's been invaded at least, so there's that. We'll at least send our troops over to help out with it. Alright. Oh, wait, I can actually bring other troops over to the naval invasion. I forgot about that. I don't know if that's intended, though. Oh, we'll just see how that goes, then. I can just put it all together in one invasion spot. I may as well just do that. See if that works. Although it could fail before then. We'll find out. I love our treaty port's named after the Declaration of Krakow. Oh, this is why the treaty port's not doing well. It suddenly does not have any infrastructure. Although I see they built a bunch of ports to fix that, so I guess it's fine. I'm actually surprised there are bureaucrats who can work this. Oh, right, because technically it's not a government building. It's the ports are not government buildings. That's right. Sorry about that. I'm used to the version of the game where ports were still government buildings, but ports are not government buildings anymore, so I actually don't have to worry about it as much. I misread the slew of notifications that just went by. I thought Italy formed. I was very confused for half a second before I realized, no, Italy didn't form. We're also at over 700 million GDP, and that's kind of when our GDP started stagnating, because there's like no one unemployed anymore, which is all the more reason to increase automation. Wait, so you're telling me there are several automotive industries that are in our market, and I own none of them? Oh, good to know. We got the ability to make cars, and we made it for the British and not ourselves. That won't do, chat. If there's going to be any cars in this game, they need to be made in Austria. Or at least somewhere in our market. Yeah, I need to wait for the Brazilian army to leave. Kind of just waiting. Okay. Kind of realizing here that if I don't wait for them to leave, we're never getting anywhere. Except Spain's about to surrender, so I need to go now. I don't think we're going to get this treaty port, but we're going to try our hardest to grab it. Which group is missing its general? I saw a group missing a general. There it is. Trade union anarchist. There we go. Oh, shoot, the trade union just appeared. Hello. Well, despite all of our efforts, thanks to a rising standard of living, the trade unions have finally appeared in 1894. So it took them a very long time to appear. Oh, did the treaty port revolt on us, chat? It did. Uh-oh. It still classifies it as a treaty port. Will that stay? Okay, let's go ahead and try fighting it then. I meant to not let that happen, but it happened anyway. If it's still a treaty port, we can try to mess with it, although the treaty port sector will probably collapse. But as long as it stays as a treaty port in consideration, I'm fine with it. This is actually a good test to see how the game handles it. Of course, that means giving up on the treaty port in Brazil, which is fine. Where's the closest HQ? In Indonesia, for now. Alright, well, we're gonna go reclaim our treaty port while our economy is temporarily thrown into disarray by it. That being said, I think we'll be okay. I mean, I am seeing numbers change because of it, but it should be fine. There we go. We are now generating less pops, because that's exactly what we wanted to see. More realistically, we're at least going to have more of our pops actually working. And, ooh, we could do protectionism to calm the trade. Now we'll go for free trade, as pre-discussed. Previously discussed. Oh, I see. Okay, so you can assign more divisions to a landing, but as one might expect, it does actually reduce your performance at the naval invasion. That's kind of why, even though it's positive, it's failing so hard, is because I'm actually just debuffing myself with more difficult landing negatives. Although in hindsight, this makes a lot of sense, and I shouldn't be surprised in the slightest. What I'm also noticing is that once they're assigned, you cannot unassign them, so it's just kind of an all-or-nothing situation. That's fine, though. We're learning that, at least, because it used to be you kind of couldn't assign that, but they changed how naval invasions worked over the years. Of course, we get the Han Horrors event. And this is still a treaty port? This is still a treaty port. Or... okay, yep, there we go. Qing market, we're fine. The next rebels will get much worse. God, that's awful for 50 infamy. We'll just scapegoat someone, I guess. It is going to hurt standard of living here for 3 points for a couple of years, though, but oh well. Yeah, one given time, the trade center in Nantong should come back up to speed, but we are going to subsidize it to make sure it's fine. Redacted them. Yeah, let's not say what went on there. We'll just leave it at that. You know what? Our naval invasion is catastrophically failing, but it looks like our allies are succeeding, though I'm pretty sure Brazil will get out of this without giving us a treaty port in the end. We're just going to kind of keep throwing it at the wall until they offer us a peace treaty and then just leave. That's all we're doing now. We're just throwing ourselves at them until they leave. With all due respect, Greece, I don't want to support a Greece uprising and help Greece get more territory afterwards. And leave me with nothing. I'd rather have something instead, you see. Why give them a good SOL when they rebelled? I don't know. Something about the free market, I guess. Speaking of free market, they're investing a lot overseas now, I've noticed, which I'm fine with because we get the dividends, but it's also because we don't have a lot of... almost all of our unemployed right now are just in the treaty port over here. Practically all of them, actually. Wow. I don't know why they're building all these ports. I guess I can take a guess as why they're building all those ports. It still feels weird to me. But over time now, we are going to start getting more unemployed who can then be worked. So that's nice. Now that the trade union exists, chat, do we want to repeal the Combination Acts and pass corporatized unions instead? Because this would cause the trade union to be more likely to generate corporatists at all times. Right now, they have a nice 1% chance. No. Even though they exist, you still want to deny their right to organize. Oh, hey, we got the naval invasion. Now we just need to get the actual port itself. Just throw the armed forces over there. Yeah, it's not using all of its trade capacity. I think it's because it's just struggling to find more items to export that are profitable. But now that it's up and running again, we should be fine for the next decade before the next revolt happens. I am also noticing that slowdown period too, because we've only gone about 15 years so far, over an hour. But that's Victoria 3 for you, with its performances. Alright, and welcome to our new treaty port. I assume I can't build Christ the Redeemer because, yeah. Oh, I just haven't invented the tools. Maybe I could steal it then. That'd be funny. Yep, that's another treaty port under our belt. Speaking of which, totally forgot to mention that our skyscraper is done, and it should be buffing all of our trade centers. Funnily enough, the skyscraper bonus also benefits the trade centers that you own in treaty ports, because again, it's considered that you own you own the trade center, so it's gonna buff your stuff. I forget, do we have craft paper? We do. Yeah, that's nice. That's an even higher trade capacity. If we had the market, the trade center one, that'd be pretty good too, but this also works. Venice is getting over 50% increase to its trade capacity, which does make it easier for it to run a profit, despite paying maybe decent wages at some point in its future. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. I wonder how long I'm gonna have to pay the subsidies here. Probably indefinitely. Let's see. Not much else I can pass to make the Catholic Church happy with us, unfortunately. So getting that growth bonus might be a little tricky. We could be extra funny and switch to single-party state, but I think that would just give the bourgeoisie all the power then, because currently it's their guy in charge right now. And so it would make the upcoming armed forces general put in a really awkward position. Militarized police kind of requires the technology we don't have yet, to be fair. So that's probably not happening. What's your idea? I'll hear it. As we kind of keep playing in the background. Oh, Ukraine left the internet system. Why? State religion with low acceptance. Huh. I guess whatever was buffing, it must have ended at some point, and it just kind of fell apart, yeah. It's also because they no longer had the Power Block Embassy when they joined us, that's why. That makes some sense. Only some sense, though. Can't have full sense. That would be ridiculous. Spicy grain. Very cheap groceries. Actually, we're struggling to find workers. That's not good. Burgundian radical revolt. Oh. Burgundy's apparently found itself in the midst of radicalism, chat. And of course, you know, we can't allow radicalism and liberalism to take over. That would be really bad. So to March we go. Yeah, we could try that if he gets into power in time. We could get the armed forces guy in power later, and then try to enact single party state with the armed forces taking it over. If he dies in time, and we have time to pass it, because we only have so many hours in the day, but we still have time. Oh, our subventions are going nuts. I forgot to check. Are we still... Yeah, we're still subventioning an importation of iron, chat. I'm going to quickly take that off, because I don't want to be mass importing iron when we can still make iron ourselves. That would be really foolish. That would be incredibly foolish, actually. I would love public motor carriages, but we'd have to make a lot of cars before I could get around to that. But it would be nice. Speaking of subsidies, we did build all those power plants earlier, and then I kind of forgot about the power plants after building them, chat. We kind of built them and just left them to stand there. Which, probably not wise. Does mean I can switch over to electric sawmills, though, which is going to partially solve our issues with wood. Partially, not completely. Then some states should actually be a bit too high in their power demand, because I think we only have... Yeah, we don't have coal fire yet. I actually missed these states over here. There we go. Poland continues its evil acts of inciting violence in the game. Not really. They're just making their people dislike us. Which is somewhat unsurprising. Oh, I totally forgot about the lobby demand, although that may have just vanished. I'm pretty sure it just failed. Oh, that near 45% capacity bonus in Nantong is so good. They're not making as much money now because of just they're not able to utilize the full capacity despite having fully hired. But we have macroeconomics now, which is nice. What is happening? Okay, I need to mobilize the rest of the army. I'm not sure what's happened, but for some reason our armed forces are not doing well. I thought they were doing fine without any issues, but for some reason a lot... Oh, right, the revolts can get a lot of conscription, can't they? Yeah, so they actually have 200 divisions. Okay. All right, that makes sense then. That makes sense. I kind of forgot about that one really small but very important detail. Let's maybe start grabbing a lot of these technologies now. It'll take a few years, but we do need it. And we said we'd do the Art Academy, so let's finally do the Art Academy. It means no oil company, but eh. Sometimes you have to take the options that are just more fun. You know? Yes, it is art company time. Sometimes you just have to take those options that are just the best. I'm also gonna actually go a little crazy here, and I clicked max subventions. You know what? That's fine. We'll do that too. We're gonna pay trade centers to export art on top of it and see where that goes. Yeah, now that we have a lot of our armed forces there, we're probably going to just blitz through them, because I don't think they have enough troops to defend everywhere. Yeah, they don't. I'm watching us stall in some fights and then insta-win other fights. He's causing a remarkably high amount of casualties, though. I wonder if they have something that's increasing the kill rate. No, we actually have higher kill rate. I think it's just the offense and defense are very equalized. Because that 2-year bonus we had is gone. Oh! Yeah, if they keep rolling charted terrain, that'll do it too, actually. Alright, we'll hold our ground then, now that we've pushed it to where they should be... Yeah, they're the ones that capitulate. Okay. That's good enough. That's good enough for now. I want to pay more attention to our Art Academy building, who has already gone ahead and bought up several hundred art academies shortly after being formed. Which is going to help increase the price of art, because suddenly the monopolization of it has increased prices drastically. We're also trying to export it, but I don't know if a lot of people, other than like maybe the Americans and British, will buy it. Oh! Apparently the Russians had an ongoing communist revolt, but we never saw it because I don't think I have the... Yeah, I don't have an interest declared in Russia itself, so we never saw the communist revolt occur until it was almost done. Well, it's a bit early, but it's still amusing. Standard of living just shot up. That's nice. I feel like that's just because the upper strata got richer. But I'm not really sure, actually. Steam turbine tech bonus, that's always nice. Trying to see... The British own parts of Greece now, that looks awful. Oh, it is awful. I think while that's going on, we're going to make Lucca a subject just to ensure that the entirety of the Italian peninsula is actually under our control. Not just a small snippet of it. Man, this army got devastated. There's another revolt in Prussia related to communism. And Lucca back down. Excellent. It probably would have been smarter to make a company that was around automobiles, but the Art Academy is just fun. It's good, silly fun. Not at all productive. It has good craft paper too, though, so this is actually getting a very high production bonus with all the scales together. Actually, the academics are doing very well for themselves. And then, of course, this gets academics too, who also get dividends, so the fact that wage is very low doesn't really matter. So yeah, you've got some extremely rich academics here. What are they leaning towards support-wise? It's all just the intelligentsia. So the Art Academy company is basically an intelligentsia booster because most of them will just support the Art Academy, or will support the intelligentsia. And then you have the capitalists who apparently are confusingly supporting the trade unions because they were workers not that long ago, and suddenly they're in a very different position. I'm sure they'll figure out who they're actually supposed to support soon, though, and change their mind there. Where are we on unemployment? Wow, the workforce ratio went up and we're still as unemployed as ever. Or rather, still heavily as employed as ever, I should mention. Missing more generals. Lombardy pipeline, yep. I always say yes to that event now because it just provides a permanent 20% bonus to oil extractor throughput. There's honestly no reason to not permanently pay for the increased throughput. It's just a net benefit. Oh, this is, oh, this is very on the nose. I won't say anything further about it. Although I'm confused as to why only a portion of their border is actually visible. That'll probably fix itself. Yeah, pop growth is still very much positive. It's at 1.47 because our standard of living is going up, and obviously we changed our healthcare system, so that's different. I'm not surprised that GDP is stagnating too, because we are kind of practically out of employable pops. And so unless demand increases through some method, it's going to start stalling out, because we don't exactly have something like inflation where the price would just go up indefinitely, for example. There's going to be a finite point for it, but that's why I wanted to research tractors, which we just unlocked. It's not going to free up too many pops, but it is going to mean less... Oop, I forgot that I can't switch. It does mean less laborers, though, which is nice. You can also start using electricity for the barred fencing. Honestly, I may as well get rail transportation to logging camps, too, which is going to probably cause some issues with transportation prices again, I'm sure. But that's okay, we'll deal with it. That gave us several 100,000 unemployed pops. Only a couple 100,000, though. We can't possibly get more just yet. We're not ready for that. Mechanization of farming. Oh, I guess the welfare payment thing, why not? We'll be fine. There's almost no welfare payments to begin with anyway. How's our treaty port in Brazil doing? I know it has very few people that actually support it. But it is getting migration, though, so that's nice. It's at least got good imports and exports going. It's actually forcefully importing fine art at a higher price. Or at a lower price, which is great. Austria is giving us... Japan is giving us investment rights in exchange for sending them steel. Which I actually don't mind. That's a decent deal. Because our steel is very cheap and really needs to be sent somewhere. I've been watching our GDP fluctuate in the millions, and it's a little scary. Just a little, though. Not sure too much what else to do, because we did set out and complete most of our objectives earlier on. There are technically other journal entries for Austria, but they're different paths that we can't go down because we already went down the one path. We could technically do the one for the corporate state, but that would require giving everyone voting rights, which I'm not sure if we want to do that. It would be a little awkward of us to do, just to then revoke it right afterwards. We're getting more prestige now, though. Wait. That just said Mecklenburg back down to a feminist revolt. Not this one. Which one? It was this Mecklenburg, right? Yeah. It's a feminist revolt that enforced a council republic and cooperative ownership. Humanitarian chairs its council. Although, considering the standard of living here, I'm not too surprised that they're a little upset. I'd be pretty upset, too, if my standard of living was just within the realm of destitute. That is pretty sad and painful. How are we doing on cars? Can I actually switch urban centers over now? And no. We'll probably just have to build some ourselves, which we did before, but I think I need to, like, mass spam it. Just get a bunch of cars going everywhere. And hope people switch over. Which they will. It will just take time. But I'd say this has been wildly successful. It's a very successful Austria game where we haven't been too aggressive. But we have things like treaty port in Qing, a treaty port in the American market through Brazil. Burgundy is just silly. But I'm enjoying the silliness that comes with it because I find it very entertaining. Oh, you know, I could go for a treaty port in Britain one day. That would be good. That would be very, very good. That's not going to happen, though. But I can dream. I can dream. Actually, even though I don't think we have the electricity for it, let's go ahead and switch over to filmmaking. Yeah, oh my god. We don't. The power demand just spiked hard. I'll just take the mass propaganda technology, actually. Thank you very much. Because you have to keep in mind, we don't have a lot of power plant production yet. So any sudden spike is pretty big. Even if it's a small spike at that. But once that gets rectified, the art academies should just be doing better overall. At the moment, it's barely adjusted because the price of input and output shifted in a not so fun way. Now East Prussia is uprising against Prussia. Poor Prussia has just had a terrible game. They've just had a terrible game all day. And last week. Not that I'm complaining, I'm glad to see that they're not doing great. Because it means they will not be of any consequential issue for us in the foreseeable future. Oh man, there's like no pops in Ukraine to work. Yeah, a lot of these kind of got built up already, huh? Eesh. Technically, can build up Japan, so I guess we'll just build up Japan then. I don't think we could help Prussia because Prussia is still hostile to us. Now, they are conciliatory. We can actually improve relations with them and they won't oppose it. I almost made them a protectorate. They're an insignificant power at the moment. We could just straight up start an annex war against Prussia. We could start an annex war against Prussia, actually. But the Confederation of the Rhine existing means we'd have to eventually beat Burgundy for it. You know what? Should we put Russia out of its misery, or Prussia out of its misery? Because we could do it. We could very much annex them. And I'm very open to the idea right now, because their pops are just dying for nothing. Yeah, I think we do it. Let's do it. I know we're at war with Russia right now, but Russia is not going to matter that much in the end. Don't worry about it. Oh, Latvia exists, and it's communist. All right, then. Yep, we'll finish the war with Russia, annex Prussia. We're just taking Bessarabia for Moldavia, I believe is the one getting it. We're just backing Ukraine just so Russia can't pull them back into their sphere of influence because we don't want them to. Oh, you know how we made the lobbies chat to see if we could get a positive pro-Austrian lobby in Qing? It did work, actually. 4 of their interest groups are supporting our lobby, which the funding is giving a plus 32 for support. Oh my god, what is that support level? 480? Interesting. But yeah, we actually did manage to make it happen. Although Qing is still hostile to us, they're still quite antagonistic because of our infamy and being militarily threatening. It is still very entertaining that we actually managed to make a pro lobby for our side in there. We're also spending a lot of money thanks to construction and the fact we have very low, what do you call it, taxes. But we're just building up some coal in Japan, and then we're going to stop it again. We're just doing strategic investments, and then we're stopping our strategic investments. So, I know we're doing pneumatic tools. I actually want to grab steam turbine next, because I desperately need a lot of power now. And that's going to necessitate needing a lot of power plants that are actually good at what they do. Grain's going to get cheaper again, too, thanks to our investments into technology of fertilizer. Which also means more laborers are becoming farmers for better standard of living. At this point, we're just letting our standard of living grow. We're not trying to suppress it at all. We're just trying to make the best Austria we can. At the rate we're going, we'll definitely hit 1 billion GDP before the stream ends, which is fantastic. What are we targeting in Russia? Rostov and Kursk. But we're having to go around because for some reason some of the some of the states aren't open to invasion. I think it's because of the fight they were having with Britain and something just kind of bugged out partway. Ooh, 410 trade center in Qing through the treaty port. Exporting 12,000 tea now and almost 5,000 grain. What would be great next is to do a war against Qing solely to get investment rights. Just solely to have investment rights in their country. That would be spectacular. Because then we would just build Qing up for more investment. It would also give my construction a place to build that isn't going to mess with the wider economy. Because they're mostly doing foreign investments as we speak. Since that's the only real profitable area for them now. There we go. East Prussia is now its own independent country because Prussia no longer exists. Although we now own a state that is completely isolated, which is not good. Although that being said, the Confederation of the Rhine is actually moving towards independence. Because Burgundy has become really notorious right now. I don't like that German flag I just saw. Yeah, I was wondering when the epidemic would start. It happens eventually. Liberating the Confederation wouldn't be enough. We would have to end the Confederation's existence in order to actually form Germany. As long as the Confederation exists, you cannot form Germany. To do that, though, I'd have to end our, Yeah, I guess we've fought alongside Burgundy for long enough and supported them for long enough. It's time to think about ourselves. Although I actually have to worsen relations with them before I can do anything else. Which kind of hurts, because they've been our longtime friends, but... the duty of the German people calls, and we must answer. We're actually still running a deficit thanks to... well, I guess it makes sense we are invading Russia right now. That is kind of how this goes. Hey, now it's long Ukraine. In the top 10 GDP, too. Yeah, it was Moldavia who got it. That's nice. That's a bit of a bump in GDP and pop, slightly. Oh, the Irish are uprising. We'll currently hear about the tragedies of that later on, I'm sure. We just keep getting the Circassian call because Circassia was never eliminated by Russia. So the journal entry for that just kind of never faded, I guess. Chat. I think it's only going to affect Nantong, but apparently we brought the piperine epidemic to Asia. Which, yeah. Okay, it's only affecting ours. It's not affecting, Qing's. Yes, I will say, Colbat, right off the bat, as you just mentioned, I am very biased for Victoria 3, because I have over 3,600 hours in the game. I've been playing it since its release day. Which, by the way, today is the 3rd anniversary, I'm told, for Victoria 3, which is awesome. I would say the game is really fun if you just like making things like the GDP numbers go up, population, standard of living, just shaping the social fabric of your country and seeing the results of it. It is a game where you definitely want to set out goals for yourself, or else you're going to run out of things to do pretty quickly. And you're definitely going to take several games to kind of understand a lot of the mechanics and how everything works together. Which is going to be me in early November when EU5 drops, because I will be buying that game right away and playing the hell out of it. And there will be videos on that. But yeah, I would say if you want to play as just kind of, say, just the US, take your 50 states, and then be peaceful in trade, you can do that. If you want to do a world conquest, you can do that. You can play as, say, a nation like Britain, Austria, Russia, get a lot of subject states. You could technically go for things like ethno-state. It is just a little difficult in some cases for certain countries. Like Russia, it's hard because they have a lot of minor ethnicities that'll revolt against them, but it's pretty easy for Switzerland because they're pretty much just made up of their own primary cultural group. Optimizing point formations is really strong, so wondering if it's similar. Yes and no. You can optimize your country to be really powerful to the point where, like, right now, we're kind of at this stage ourselves where we could pretty much go to war with almost anyone, except maybe the US, because they can call up a lot of conscripts. That's a lot of battalions. We're at this stage of the game where I could go to war against pretty much any great power in the world, and I will win. But certain countries are definitely going to have a harder time getting stronger. Like, Ethiopia is definitely going to have a harder time getting a lot of power than France and Britain at game start. But you can become a great power as any country, technically, and make them really strong in your own ways. Like, you could play a game as Belgium that's just 2.5 states, focus heavily on trade, and just build up your trade centers and markets to the point where you are doing most of the trade in the world, despite being a very small country. I have actually done that myself, and my video on how trading companies works actually used my game from Belgium on that. It was very fun. Can't remember if it was just 2 states in there, or if I took other states though, but case in point is that you don't have to conquer half the world to do a lot. It is very fun though. It is definitely fun to do that. Yes, let the liberal movement die. That would be good. Britain is actually conciliatory, so maybe we can arrange a deal of sorts, perhaps? Yes. Alright. I do want to say, cool, Matt, as a devil's advocate part before you do buy, there is a good deal of content that is locked behind DLCs. So an example is that you have the companies, the new company system. Anyone can, I think it's trade rights, or maybe it's investment rights that you can give as the company charter for free. But the rest of the charters, like industry and monopoly, you can't give without the DLC. Power blocks, you can form the Trade League power block. I think the US has that right now. No, I don't think you can form a league, or maybe you can form the Trade League without the DLC, but you can't form any of the other power blocks that you'd be able to do. Victoria 3 doesn't follow a lot of historical events. It has a lot of DLCs and various content for historical events. And that kind of just depends on whether or not you actually have all the DLCs active or not. But I guess a good example is with the Voice of the People DLC, France has a lot of content around the monarchies and its republic forming, as well as the socialist revolt of the Paris Commune. In the National Awakening DLC, there's a lot of content focusing around the Austrian and Balkan region as another example. But there is also free content that does reference some historical periods. The Opium War is in the game as a free DLC for Qing. The US can still do Manifest Destiny to claim a bunch of states as it moves westward. It has slavery and the Civil War in it as well, which I believe is base content in the game. So, there's also, Japan actually has content revolving around the restoration of the Emperor. So you can get, like, Meiji Yamato to appear. So there are a lot of historical characters that can appear in the game, but some are based behind DLC. And I would probably strongly suggest researching those to decide, would you enjoy it as the base game, or would you need some of the DLC to have more fun with it yourself? Because we're playing here with all the DLC, so I'm at the point where I played with the DLC for so long that I couldn't accurately describe Victoria 3 with no DLC, because I haven't experienced that in years. But you do have things like Italian and German unification that can be conducted too. Scandinavia can form, so there's some ahistorical values in it as well, in between. I know they're working on, the newest DLC they're working on is content for the Iberian Peninsula for Spain and Portugal. That's kind of the next bit of content they're working on, which should be fun. In saying all that, I should also specify, if you ever take a look at any of my videos on parts of Victoria 3, all of it is working with the assumption that the DLCs are active. but most of the information is usable even if you don't have the DLCs. It's referencing just kind of a lot of how various systems function in the game. Yeah, we'll spend the money. We have the money. Our industrialists became corporatists, by the way, Chad. I didn't catch that because I was busy talking. Well, that's cool that they're led by corporatists now. So our government's probably, yeah, very, very high in legitimacy. Our trade is looking amazing. We're actually exporting oil as our 4th largest item to export. We're exporting meat, too. That's amazing. Fine art exports aren't high, which doesn't surprise me, because fine art is mostly a domestic consumption. See, I don't want to take a 15 legitimacy hit, but who is going to lead the industrialists next? Oh, it's a roulette. It could be anyone, really. Look, I'm gonna let him resign because I don't want the 15 legitimacy penalty. It's a positivist now. So instead of a 15 legitimacy penalty, we got 25. Thanks, game. I'm so glad to know that the game has our back. Okay, the exiled agitator's not loading quickly. That is maybe one problem too, is that you are gonna have late game performance problems with Victoria 3. It has improved those over the years, but it's just always had performance issues in the late game because it's trying to calculate every pop in every building from every religion and culture. And after a while, that gets a bit difficult for the game to appropriately do without a problem happening. Is Poland not yet lost? If I have anything to say about it, it soon will be. I need to go in there and annex Poland to stop this after liberating Poland. You better believe I will. I still love how it calls us a Kaiserreich. Maybe Austria still gets to be a Kaiserreich, as long as you're oligarchic. Man, Russia's been having a lot of revolts. Speaking of that noise, Russia's been having a lot of revolts lately. I'm actually a little surprised. Russia usually doesn't get that many revolts in my experience. So it's actually kind of pleasing to see them get a number of revolts. It might be because they did actually modernize some of their laws, like their off-serfdom and traditionalism, which does help. They probably have education systems going on too now. Wow, Nantong's actually mostly employed people now. Our investment pool's done a really good job over here. Our investment pool is also making munition plants in Nantong, and then trade centers exporting those munitions. And wait. So we are importing ammunition from Qing and the United States, both are which countries who we have treaty ports in. So you're saying I have literally outsourced my munitions? We have literally outsourced our production of ammunition. We make almost no ammunition in our country. It's almost all of it is outsourced. That's ridiculous. Oh, I love that. It's so stupid, but I love it. Speaking of stupidity, joint electric trains and power plants are right here. Already on coal fire, very good. I couldn't remember if I had change them back over or not. I'm trying to embrace more electrical usage now that we have a stable supply of electricity. Oh, that's a lot more electricity we need now. Oh, you know what, chat? I totally forgot to set up the power plants to be privatized. I don't think I have a company that can buy them, but we probably should privatize them anyway, right? I don't think any of them can. Let me glance over real quick, because I forgot. Yeah, no, none of them can. That's fine. Okay, so I saw it was all of these states that were having issues. And I don't mind paying like the extra subsidies to keep them running. Ooh, I have not done the Electrified Metropolitan Railway in a long time. Fun fact, this, you get this for getting electrical trains in your capital with enough of a level. It used to be that this permanent reward for your capital used to give a 100% railway building throughput bonus. And eventually the devs rightfully nerfed it to 25% because 100 is insane for your capital state. So now it's a nice modest 25% instead. Oh, we can actually build trade centers in Britain. Cool. Regime change in Poland. I guess they don't like the anarchists of East Prussia. I hope they fix that bug soon. So what, we have 2 states with the babrine epidemic, if I remember right. Where was the first one? It's not these 2 gears, right? No. Ah, here it is, here it is, here it is. That should be it, right? Yeah. Because they need to encourage agriculture industry in at least 75% of them. But since only 2 states meet that requirement, I have to do it in both. And then I'm pretty sure we have to do that for a full year, right? Yeah, for a full year after discovering the solution, and we have discovered the solution, so we may as well get it over with. We're not invested into silk that much, but I'd like to just kind of get the problem out the door instead of leaving it to linger around. Oh, so much trade. I know we don't really have the unemployed pops domestically, but I would very much like to build up more trade, if that's okay. I just want to convert my pops into nothing more than a bunch of tradesters. Is it the best economic idea? Probably not, but it's fun. And our standard of living's going up, so something's going right. What's Burgundy gonna take from the French now? Liberate Corsica, liberate Brittany. Fair enough. Not too much then. Let's see, can we tire you yet? You're not 75. You're 3 years out. 1905. Problem is that it's been 2.5 hours now. That means we can keep going. How are our synthetic dye plants doing? I have not checked up on them. Not too bad. We still import a lot of dye, though. We have a lot of silk plantations. We could make silk from wood. In my experience, that's usually pretty profitable for these buildings. Plus, it makes laborers into machinists, which is never a bad thing. We're actually not making as many luxury clothes as we could. I kind of want to make more of those. So maybe we switch to craftsman sewing and switch to rayon for our synthetic plants. That is going to mean we make less dye domestically. But it is going to help improve profitability overall anyway, so I think it'll be fine. And we evidently can already import it regardless, so who cares? I guess I care, but I care too much about everything I do in this game. Oh god, which reminds me, EU5 is going to be micromanagement, heaven and hell from what I've been seeing. I know you can automate a lot of stuff in that game. But, and I mean, I guess we're automating construction right now just because we're using that to keep our taxes and our costs down. But I'm going to have fun trying to micromanage the hell out of EU5 when it comes around. I don't know how long I'll spend on it, but probably a lot of hours. I'm looking for at least several hundred hours, because I am planning 2 things for EU5, actually. One is a Yuan playthrough that I'm going to do off camera. The other is going to be a live stream as Brandenburg, which I'm going to try to do the day after release. That'll be on Wednesday, because that's my first free day. So there is that stream to look forward to for that Wednesday. My god, there's just revolts everywhere. Is this just Georgia? Oh, Georgia's having a revolt. I see. I didn't understand what was happening at first, but I understand now. Surprised how expensive our coal still is. Oh, right. We've been building all those steel mills from the company. That makes sense. First, I'm sitting here like, how is this possible? Now I know why it's possible, because the company that has steel mills is just spamming steel mills everywhere. Alright, now that that epidemic is over, that's the wrong state, I can finally revoke these decrees. We maybe should use our authority for some other decrees. Technically, we could do promote national values, but the incorporation speed is so slow, I don't bother with it much lately. That being said, it is fun to do if you just want to map paint in a different way. It comes down to what you enjoy the most. I do like how the Venice Trade Center is full on trade capacity. Because I noticed its wages have gone up again. And the pops here are living pretty secure lives. It's just a lot of demand for tea. How are the new trade centers doing? I assume they're not doing too great yet because they're not fully employed, which, yeah, that's par for the course. Automobile demand is just too high for us to actually use it. Oh, why would we replace the Art Academy? It's so funny. Also, sorry, I think you guys were commenting for a bit. I had an ad blocking my phone and I couldn't read. I can see you again, finally. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Apparently my stuff was not updating. Now I can see you. Metternich is, I believe how you pronounce it, yeah. And I don't think we'll do an ammunition company just because I think it's funny that we outsourced and we're importing it all now. It's just really amusing to me. And, as for, like, EU5 content itself, my main hope there is to just take a lot of the Victoria 3 mechanics and learning, throw it into EU5, and try to break the game in some way for fun. My goal with Yuan, for example, is to try to get as many pops as I can. I want at least 1 billion, but I'm aiming for 2 billion if possible. We're also gonna just quietly side with Persia over here, just to stop the Russians from expanding. I really need to get a second monitor or something at some point. That way I don't have to use my phone to watch chat. I can just have it on my side screen, because that would probably help prevent me from losing track of chat now and then. Just a thought. And I kind of, at this point, I just want to see how the Art Academy goes, because this is probably going to be our last stream for this save, because we're entering the 1900s, performance is going to drop, and we're going to get really, really slow. Our GDP is also kind of stalling, because, again, we're kind of out of people to employ. Almost out of people to employ. And I'm very amused by how well the Art Academies are doing financially. Hey, conveyors. Fantastic. In this case, I'd love to get compression ignition next. And then these automation techs, too. So, real quick, the conveyor belts we have will be very good for these buildings. The problem is, again, electricity is going to spike when I do this, so get ready to see a lot of red on the map, chat, because we're going to have a lot of places that don't have the electricity to make this work. But I've been ensured that it's probably okay. It's probably not going to be okay, but I just wanted to promise you that it would be okay so you would feel safe. Honestly, Bohemia probably needs a ton because all the buildings there, doesn't it? Yeah. I have to kind of, speaking of micromanage, I have to now micro check all the states to see how much electricity they need. The good news about everything getting shortage of electricity is that it's really easy to figure out where I need to start building a lot of these. They're usually pretty obvious on the map, which is nice. It's the one downside of having to micromanage electricity, though, is that it does take up some of your time to just do. But since we're letting the private investment pool do most of our construction, it shouldn't take long to actually get most of this running fine. And it did give us a couple 100,000 more pops to work with. Oh, you know what? I just realized why my phone has not been updating. It's not connected to my Wi-Fi, like it's supposed to be. But that's okay. It just means I'm a fool. Like, something on the stream had to be scuffed. At least this time it was just the phone and not something worse. And we had 940 million GDP, and then it just fell. Just died. Revolt Montenegro. Put that down. So, I'm curious, is Persia trying to take any territory here? Yes, actually. Yeah, Persia is trying to take territory and liberate Kazakhstan. You know what? I respect it. I respect it from Persia. I respect it. Can chat vote to cripple the intelligentsia? I mean, why would you want to do that? They're, I mean, they are led by a radical now, which is kind of disgusting. Actually, I've been noticing the bourgeoisie are kind of struggling to gain clout. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the reason why our bourgeoisie are struggling is because less than 29% of the population can actually join the bourgeoisie. Because remember, only those who are primary culture pops can join the bourgeoisie, to my memory. So it kind of falls to the capitalists and industrialists to actually keep our form of Neo-Absolutism up. What is happening? Wait. So our protectorate of two Sicilies is invading Sardinia Piedmont. Ha. I don't think that's how this was supposed to go. Honestly, though, chat, I might just take it as an opportunity to reduce their autonomy, even though it costs 45 infamy. Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, there we go. No more census suffrage. We're not messing around with census suffrage over here anymore. I just made the papacy into a corporate state. Same with Sardinia. That's beautiful. Anyway, let's go reduce Sicilian autonomy. For daring to upset the balance of power. Hey, the Roman Republic now exists thanks to us. We technically got rid of the Pope. Technically. And they're still on traditionalism? That will not do at all. Oh, there we go. We landed in the Russian capital, so this war's over, basically. There's no way for them to survive now. Oh, wow, the German national movement is back. We have not seen that in a long time. We suppressed it ages ago. Well, time to suppress it again, because it embraces a lot of liberal ideas. And I don't need obstinance being caused by it. Can't support independence because they don't want independence. That's fine. I love how we're still running a deficit thanks to those additional expenses. Not really much of a deficit now. It's the increased subsidies from the power plants and the fact we're spending like 200K a week to export fine art to artificially inflate the fine art economy. Which I want to stress again is not a great use of our money or time. I'm just doing it because it's amusing. That is the only reason why I'm doing it. And I would not encourage you to do it unless you'd have fun with it. Was Austria not level 40 urban center? Oh, no, that's right. I need electric streetlights. My bad. I forgot about that. Silly me. I was wondering why Belle Epoque hadn't triggered this whole time. Very curious about that. Oh, time for more debt spending. So unsubsidizing, yeah, here, I'll compromise, because I really like our art exports, because I think it's funny, but I'll compromise We'll reduce the art subventions from maximum to just low. That will greatly reduce the costs while also curtailing the exports, making it more domestic. But people need to learn about the Austrian culture, and what better way to learn than with a trove of art being thrown at your face. That's how it works these days, right? Art's just thrown at you everywhere you look. Pretty sure that's how it goes. Offer technocracy is compromise. The industrialist asking for technocracy is just funny. We could do it. I mean, I've never gotten the new machine done. I know that just changes how the intelligentsia think. But we are wanting to do the single-party state, so I can't do that. And I don't want to switch to laissez-faire. I mean, we could switch to laissez-faire. There's nothing wrong with it. Oh, Russia's been humiliated. The Kazakh Khanate exists. And Persia has actually gotten larger. Never mind, they formed Turkestan. Alright, that works too. Well, if we do technocracy, Vincent, we can't do our idea of making a single-party state with the armed forces. Yeah, the idea that was there previously. We kind of can't do technocracy then if we do that. I mean, we could do it, get the company and switch back, but if you're below your expected cap of companies, like if I have more companies than my capacity, then we do suffer a throughput penalty on all of our companies. Which was the main reason why they removed the extra company slot on the canals, because if it became unprosperous, all your companies suffered, and then it just made all those companies struggle to stay prosperous. So I think their idea there was, instead of leaving it in there and letting it be a problem for players, they just preferred to remove it. I don't fully agree with that idea, but on the other hand, it takes a lot to tweak and balance everything. And when you balance it in one area, something else breaks. That's just how it is in really big games. We're still importing 40,000 wood. What are we using all this wood for? Is it tools? Is it all going to tools? Yeah, about half of it is going to tools. Honestly, at this point, even though it would probably cause an economic crisis, I think we need to switch to machine steel tools to reduce our dependency on wood. I should mention, though, we are the only thing keeping the wood industry up globally. Like, Britain is exporting about 30,000 wood, chat, which is most of their wood. And then we're importing that wood. Oh, Ontario's exporting like 11k wood. What the hell? Wow. I have not paid attention to the Americas in a while. I didn't realize America got a massive bump to its wood. Oh my god. I think that was just like for the Canadian sector though, right? Yeah, because that's 100 levels of logging camps in Quebec. I know that's referencing the fact that there's a lot of wood in Canada at this time, but I think that's higher than the logging camps Russia gets. I think the highest logging camp Russia gets is at level 72. Canada now has more wood by, well, in a sense, in a single state, it has more wood than Russia. So, we just finished the war with Two Sicilies. We made them a puppet. Parma, who is the only Italian nation not forced as a subject, but still a member of the power bloc, just annexed them through Italian events. Yeah, that's a little awkward. Huh? Is Parma just copying Ukraine now? It's just... I'd love to puppet Parma, yeah. Let me change the treaty I have with them to something else. There we go. And we are going to make them a protectorate now before they get too strong. Because if we don't act, they could actually start annexing everyone else. Actually, I'm actually a little curious as to how Parma managed to do that annexation. I wonder if there was just like a split second where it was open enough to where they could just kind of reach in and snatch it. I'm actually perplexed. But it's fine. Yeah, so we'll puppet Parma next here. Ah, there it is. South Germans become obsessed with fine art, as if it wasn't already an obsession to begin with. It was already kind of their biggest expenditure, so to speak, in leisure. But this is gonna kind of just increase it more, so they'll buy like less steamers, more automobiles. They actually might buy less in some cases, though. The price gets too high. Or if their standard of living suddenly drops, which could be an equal cause. All right, how are we doing on unemployment? There's almost no one to employ again after everything. I'm hesitating to mass switch over to rubber because it seems like the Canadian economy is actually reliant on these wood exports, and then they're probably importing goods from us, so I don't want to destabilize the ongoing trade system that badly. I also don't know if Britain has a lot of rubber to spare. Maybe they do. Not? They have a fair amount, actually. They do export a lot of it, so we probably could... Yeah, you know what? We could actually get a lot of rubber. We should be thinking about ourselves and our people, not Canadians. The Canadians don't need rubber as much as we do. I am going to do a low subvention on rubber as well, because we can't make any rubber ourselves as Austria with where we're at. So it is extremely vital that we import rubber and import it quickly. Ah, the U.S. has declared war for Tunis. Alright, America. That's kind of rude, but... Alright. We technically already have a treaty port in them thanks to Victoria. And yeah, I've noticed Brazil has not revoked the treaty port, so... we just keep this treaty port in the United States, I guess, which is awesome. But I kind of want to get a second treaty port. Maybe in New York. I know that just gives you the sliver of Brooklyn, though. What has a lot of pops? Oh, the answer is probably New York, actually. So, yeah. I guess it would just be New York in that case. I kind of thought about Texas, but its population is not as high as New York. And New York does have the New York Harbor, which gives trade capacity and mappy bonuses, which are, you know, good. I guess the alternative is like Louisiana, but that's just a mappy bonus. And again, population isn't as large. I just have to get our interest in New York set up real quick. So I wasn't planning on this for a little while. Parma's also a protectorate now, so that's good. Liberate New Africa. That is true. We could liberate New Africa, but actually, I kind of, and this is probably a little weird, I kind of want to let America stay together just to benefit from their situation. Although, that being said, I will take the 16th Infantry for Hanover just because it is a German state, and I'd like to kick the Americans out. And then enforce treaty article, treaty port. Now, this treaty port is highly reliant on the Americans not revoking it later. But as we've seen so far, it looks like the AI just won't revoke it, which is nice. We technically already have a treaty port anyway. This is just us doubling down with the second one. And one that's more directly in their market and not reliant on the Brazilians staying in their market. The federal state of Austria to build in Java. I've read that part way. Sure, I'll agree. We can build in Java. Why not? Java. Oh. I was gonna say, wait a minute. Java shouldn't exist. I guess it does now. Could I interest you in some investment rights? I could. There we go. We've got building in Bengal as well now. So that means our private investment pool should be able to just kind of... Oh, you know what? It can build in a lot of places now, chat. So let's go a little crazier. Let's really increase our domestic steel demands. With a little bit of domestic investment. Let's actually also, as well, to make sure their landings can't go well, we'll just raid the Gibraltar Strait. So any units they send in here to try to take Tunis and other spots will just fail. They'll hopefully fail. Although I think a lot of them are just going back to stop. Yeah, you're kind of coming back, aren't you? Dixie HQ. Yeah, thought so. I think they can stop our landing too, Czech, because I think they have, yeah, they do have trench infantry. And I actually don't have trench infantry, so that's a little scary. Yeah, so I'm going to need to do 2 invasions then. Which is fine, I have access. Send you down here. Yeah, there we go, that works. Hey, this is one of those little, like, micro points you have to plan around naval invasions. It's trying to stretch their armies thin to where they can't cover it all at once. Granted, they'll probably cover it well enough. Hopefully they can land in time, but they're having to establish... Okay, they do have control. Good. If we can seize New York, that would at least give us the treaty port location. Even though it means we're burning New York to the ground, which isn't as nice, but oh well. Okay, there we go. It's done. Wait, so chat, we occupied New York, but... something broke, and I have no front line. This is kind of weird and kind of rare. Because now we have no front line. I don't know how to feel about that. I guess, oh, they finally fixed this. Oh, did they finally fix this? Oh, you can... Yes, okay, that's good. I guess we'll just invade along the coast of New England then while the Americans can't stop us, which is really strange. This is definitely a bug of sorts, and I'm definitely abusing it. Oh, there's an Egyptian revolt. Oh, time to put that down too, I guess. I mean, at this rate, we'll just be burning America, sorry, New York to the ground, not all of America. We could do that too, though, if you gave me enough time. Hanover's also burning down, so there's that. We also did hit 1 billion GDP not too long ago. I'm pretty sure we hit it once I got the tool workshop switched over and they got enough rubber to keep going. In fact, I'm going to do a low subvention for export for tools, because I think that would help us a lot. I may have to raise taxes at the rate things are going because of these subventions, but I think it's fine. It might not be fine, but oh well. We are playing on very low taxes on per capita taxes. It's not really going to give us a lot. Wait, I'm confused. Did I... Wait, I'm really confused. Parma just somehow made itself no longer a protectorate without any notification or like, hey, can we be free? And they've started a war to transfer Tripolitania. I'm a little confused by this because we literally had a true... Oh, was there a civil war and I didn't notice? Maybe. Yeah, no, because they're not purple now. I think a civil war happened in Parma. I think a civil war happened here in Parma, and I was so busy over here I didn't notice, and they just took it over and knocked it all out. I think that's what it was. Right? Yeah, because they only have one political movement, which is weird. Yeah, because you have no historical data as well. Yeah, that kind of sucks because I can't do another war to make them a subject then, since that's just gonna make us a pariah. Yeah, we might just seize Parma itself. Maybe not Parma itself. Parma itself is pretty fine. I guess we could seize Sicily and just grant it to one of our other more loyal subjects. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just take Sicily from them then in that case. I'm not sure what happened there beyond that. It was probably a situation like that where there was a civil war and we didn't notice. And that just happens when you're not paying enough attention, especially if you're, I guess, talking to a stream half the time. You don't pay as much attention then, and then you start losing things and you wonder what's going on. We could take Parma itself, but I'm trying to seize Sicily to keep them weak. We are kind of losing some of our, yeah, Japan just got swayed to join Parma. Yeah, that's what happened. A civil war happened in Parma, and I wasn't paying attention and didn't notice it. Oh well, it happens. It's a shame and it's annoying, but what can you do? At least it wasn't something worse than that. All the Ottomans just started a diplomatic play against us, which is really cute because I assume they targeted Egypt. They weren't targeting us specifically, they were targeting someone else, and it just, you know, defaults to us because we're their overlord. And the bug with New York is very weird, how we fully control it, and we're devastating it, but the Americans can't attack it by land. Very strange. Definitely a bug of sorts. Still abusing it. Probably shouldn't, but oh well. Parma's their capital, right? You know what? I'm actually glad to not have targeted Parma itself, because if we seize Parma itself in the war, that immediately just kind of means we meet all of our war goals. Although that being said, we can also just invade them normally. I love how expensive coal is. The Vienna Metro. Yeah, even though we lost our investment rights in some states, other states still like us. Japan, sorry, Qing doesn't really have a choice. We can't invest into them, but look, we have the treaty port that's here to stay. They don't really get a choice. Oh wait, there's a financial district in Nantong now? That's amazing. Didn't think we'd see one of those. Wow, America sent, like, everything to Tunisia. I guess we did stop our blockade, so it makes sense that they could land. But with a proper raid started in the Gibraltar Strait, we can pretty much choke that out. I think they get the landing because I think they've already got most of what they need for it, right? No, they're only at 26, never mind. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they put all of their troops here, didn't they? Oh, chat, they put all of their troops here. The AI made the same mistake I did. So now they have insufficient naval support. And because there's a massive disparity between offense and defense, chat, they're dying massively. The Americans aren't even able to retreat from battle. They're just dying where they stand. They're that's kind of unfair. I need to take a quick picture of that because that is just so unfair. American casualties must have just spiked through the roof. Yeah, where was like a really big... Yeah, here, 100k for 311 dead. 102k dead for 339k dead. So within about 3 fights, they lost 500,000. They lost about 250,000 men. 205 to 1 casualty ratio. God. Even if Qing tore up the treaty port, since it's an unrecognized power and we're a recognized great power, the treaty port would actually stay. It would not disable even if they removed the treaty. So it does say that if the treaty seating it is broken, it ceases to be a treaty port. That is true, unless it's a dynamic between a recognized power and an unrecognized power. Then it will not cease. I also noticed our private construction pool is running out of investment options now that we lost places like Japan, which is not good because I was planning on being able to invest there for a long time, and now I can't use the steel anymore. Also, that kind of means the British economy is running out of people, too. Bringing Vietnam to the 19th century. We could maybe take the Forbidden City, but I don't know. I've been kind of letting Qing stay stable, because keep in mind, we're making a lot of money through the Trade Center, because we're causing lots of imports and exports from Qing. Because a lot of what they're importing, a lot of this, like the tools, furniture, and groceries, are things we make, as well as the paper. And then we're causing them to export tea. And that tea is then imported by our trade centers. Not as much in Venice, because it's kind of very spread out. Like, here's a lot of it in Austria, yeah. We're importing lots of coffee, too, actually. The case in point is that we're making a lot of money from trade centers. To the point where it's actually better to just let the trade centers do their thing. Because if we go to the paper company who's actually running all of the trade, they're making a 2 million profit right now from all of their assets. And they own more trade centers than they do paper mills. I'm going to be honest with you. I think the vast majority of their profit is from trade now. I think a lot of it is just trade because, yeah, look at this. 100K, 102K, 103K, 120K, 193K in dividends. Now, obviously, some of the dividends they're getting are because of subventions, but a lot of it is still from positive trade revenue. So we're not subventing to where trade revenue is negative, but they are getting extra profits from the state. Except the Nantong Treaty Port. That is just pure revenue. Not even with subventions. Kind of is and kind of isn't if you consider how we're exporting things. Yeah, no, I do want them to give Hanover as well as the treaty port. So I guess we have to wait till their war support is 0. But I can do that. I can wait. It just means more Americans in New York will cease to exist. And just by seizing New York, we actually knocked off a good, like, 10 million GDP. So that's pretty fun. Oh, you know what, chat? In the middle of the war, I was trying to figure out what triggered, and I totally forgot. In the middle of the war, the compression ignition engine finished. We actually could have switched over to diesel pump. Which I'm doing now, which is going to spike our demand for oil. But I'm perfectly fine with that, honestly. Because we do actually have a decent chunk of oil. And that is going to absolutely murder our demand for coal. I don't think it'll completely evaporate the demand. I think we'll have a lot of demand still. But we're going to suddenly start importing a lot of oil, that's for sure. And we could probably export coal instead of importing it now. Yeah, minus 26 price, down from plus 16. So it will take a bit of time for them to increase in prosperity. But that's still very good. Replace the Art Academy with Oil Company. I mean, we could. We could. Or we can be stuck in our ways and enjoy the fine art like the fools we are. And, you know, I kind of like being a fool now and then. I mentioned before, the Art Academy choice isn't the best choice for economic, like, GDP and stuff, but it is very entertaining. And keep in mind, all of our upper strata pops are at the point where fine art is their biggest expenditure. So having something reduce the price of fine art by making more of it is pretty good for them. That being said, we're also increasing the price through a monopoly of fine art, but you know, I don't think it's that important to cover. I mean, the intelligentsia can be kind of annoying. That is true, but there's a lot of capitalist pops working here as well. And for some reason, the academics are partially supporting the Catholic Church, so they're not all going to the intelligentsia. Some of them are actually going to the church and keeping the church on our side. Wow, where is it? Christ, I could not find the trade center button for the life of me. I just could not find it. Violent suppression in Brooklyn. That reads so wrong. Alright, we took Sicily at least. And as soon as we're no longer in a war with the Ottomans, I'll transfer it. Currently, Brooklyn is very much on fire, so it's not a very good treaty port, but I'm sure after some time it will be a better treaty port than where it currently, where it currently stands. Yeah, we'll check back in Brooklyn in a few months. I could have taken more from the Ottomans, I just wanted to humiliate them. Just as punishment. You know, I think the Pope deserves a reward, Chad. Actually, Sardinia's making cars. Oh, that's very amusing. They're making cars. You know what? I'm gonna grant Sicily to them. We might be able to actually get a armed forces head of state. No? Huh. Oh. Hey, chat, I think they removed the, age oh, right, it's because we're technically in office now. It's technically an office, not a... Huh, okay. Give me just a moment, chat. I have to figure out how to make the, corporatists extremely angry. One moment, chat. Don't worry, this is not a permanent change of state. I just need to piss people off for a moment. There we go. And now his son is in charge. Cancel corporate state, kick out the trade unions like the fools we are, and single party state. So it's saying that the Landbund would become the only legal party, but I assume that's because that's where the armed forces would form. Not too sure about that, though. We're just gonna ignore that. Yeah, we'll just work on passing it and see what happens. The intelligentsia are actually happy now. The communists are not so happy because we just stopped doing corporate state, but council republic, but they'll calm down. Don't worry about it. The communists aren't a problem, I promise you. If it turns out this promise was a lie, I will probably be hiding in the bunker in Austria proper with all the armed forces. Yeah, there we go. The trade center in Brooklyn is starting to pick up the pace. There's very few pops here, and that's partially because they all kind of died, but that might work out to our favor, actually. Because I think we could actually bring a lot of people into it. Although we have lost our authority, because our old leader was giving us a lot of authority. It might be a bit of a risk, but we're actually going to stop suppressing these movements here, Chad. Even though it's going to let them get a bit strong. Because I want to get authority to attract more Germans to Brooklyn to kind of solidify control over it. Hello again, Sharky. Yeah, we kind of went. I usually do it for just 3 hours. We technically went past the time I usually set for that, but sometimes when you're just having a lot of fun, you want to keep it going a bit longer, you know? Because why not? Oh, you know what, chat? Engines are really expensive. We can actually put oil into engines finally. So we're gonna do that, crash the price of engines, and then hopefully export engines. Maybe in that order. We'll see. We will see. I'm just really having fun with these treaty ports, especially the one in Qing. We should be attracting pops to Brooklyn now, which we are. Slowly, but we are attracting them. Meanwhile, Nantong's kind of growing at its own pace enough to where I don't need to attract people to it. It just grows itself. Single party state should pass without issue. I need to... Where is this revolt? It's in Montenegro. Is Montenegro still on its laws from the start of the game? Yeah, women in the fields. Goodness. How's their standard of living? Oh. You know, I'm starting to realize why they have a lot of revolts. It's a little obvious now why they have so many revolts. Oh, I guess we'll pay for Nantong's reconstruction. Yeah, I guess we'll do a war to liberate the Confederacy now. I don't know if liberating the Confederation is enough, mind you, but it should be a good step. I don't think it's enough, though. I think as long as the Confederation exists at all, it needs to be removed before it can form Germany. Not that we're going to seriously try to form it, but I am just kind of considering it. We are technically betraying a long-term ally as well now, but, oh well. Just, oh well. I have too much infamy to actually claim any of the states, though. Except Rhenish Hesse, but, eh. Actually, we can actually seize the Rhineland, right? No, that does make us infamous. Well, you know what? This is the last of us on this on this anyway. Yeah, there go all the treaties. You know what? It's fine. We'll just go with it. You know what? We'll just go with it. Because I can't read. I could have sworn I mathed that right. I did not math that right in the slightest. Getting all these embargoes now, too. It's so nice. Embargoes are not nice. They're very sad, and they make me sad. We did just get trench infantry, though, so that's pretty good. I just really wanted to reconnect this part of the German state that's been disconnected for so long. It's actually, it's been in a famine for a long time now, chat, for 7 years. It's had a, basically a casualty of several 100,000. Which is not good. I wonder why they don't break that treaty. I don't mind it. I'm just curious why they never break the treaty port treaties. Oof, almost 300k from the treaty port in China. It's even importing fabric with a 158% relative advantage. As if fabric wasn't cheap enough already, they're just making it even cheaper. Importing... Oh, shoot, they're importing automobiles? Are we exporting? We're probably not the ones exporting automobiles. It's probably someone else. No, we actually are exporting automobiles. Okay. I'm all for it. I'm just a little surprised. There's the single-party state. Who forms it? Okay, so... I see. So, when when we passed single party state, it kicked out everyone except the industrialists, and the industrialists formed it. Give me just a minute, Vincent. I think I understand how it worked. I think I can redirect this. We're gonna do a quick reload because I think there's a short window of time where I can change who is actually in charge. Let me just, I'm doing this as a test. Oh, wait. No, I can't kick out the industrialists because then it won't pass. It will just advance. But I think there's a very short window of opportunity after it is enacted. Yeah, because I think if we do just this, right? No, that doesn't change it. Ah, okay. So I think what's happening here, it's taking whichever interest group has the highest clout and is automatically assigning it to them. So... Oh. Never mind, we did it. I guess we broke the game. The problem here, though, is that the amount of votes they're getting is quite low. Because the total voters is not too high. I mean, what's happening? I don't understand. I'm amused, but I'm also confused. It's very confusing for me here, you see. I'm not sure what's happened. You know, they might be willing, if I wasn't a pariah, they might actually be willing to join us. Oh well. Okay. Oh, to liberate the Confederation, I need their capital, but their capital's not down here. Oh, Occitania also started a war against them, huh? I see. That's why we're having a weird moment with it. Okay. Did it? I wasn't paying attention if it did. No, it's still a treaty port. They can't break the declaration for 3 more years. It's still a treaty port. So I need to liberate the Confederation of the Rhine, chat, by controlling one of the capitals. But right now they're being controlled by another. Wow, so they're like Burgundy's in like 3 separate wars and just got dogpiled basically. Oh, that's a problem. So, yeah, slight issue. All of our armies are currently trapped in the Rhine HQ. Because they don't have military access through, what, Wallonia? Which we had occupied until it got liberated. In a separate war. So, now all of my armies are just stuck here, even though the Rhine HQ includes our incorporated state. That kind of sucks. Because I don't know if I can get them out of there at all, or if we're just doomed. Guess I should have done a naval invasion earlier. Guess we can form a new army pretty quick. That's just, really annoying. So they won't join the Landbund party that the armed forces formed. But the armed forces, yeah, now Russia's starting a war against us. Oh, that's so strange. Oh, some of our allied subjects are coming to our rescue. That's good. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to white piece this war, chat, because Russia's trying to cut us down to size, and all of the armed forces were just all stuck in one area, so I kind of have to just bring them back out. It's a little unfortunate, but that's just what I get for not paying attention to our infamy before I acted. Baku would be nice, now that we can grab it. Can I get Russian Dobrozhia for you? One of you. Yeah, do that. Well, at least the armies were liberated from their terrible, terrible fates. They should at least get most of their organization back, or at least some of it before the war starts. So we'll be fine. That was just really unfortunate and kind of annoying. What are they building here? 100 ports? Why? For what purpose? No, we're not subsidizing these ports anymore. I don't know why they're building so many ports over here, but I'm not funding it anymore. I'm just not. I'm gonna let the standard of living die. Doesn't make any sense. Also, Flanders and Wallonia exist, and it looks just so bad on the map now. It feels criminal. Hey, there we are, armed forces. Not coup potential, but at least we have them. Oh, right, you're not mobilized. God darn it. There we go, that's better. I love our top 3 most expensive goods is oil, tea, and fish. Oil, tea, and fish are the most expensive goods in the Austrian market. Fish I kind of understand. I've also noticed our construction pool is pretty much halted because we just have almost no one to employ at this point. That might be why they were spamming ports earlier, because the construction AI no longer knows what to do. It's running out of ideas, which is not good, but I'm not sure what to tell it. Because I'm running out of ideas too as our construction pool dries up. Trying to see what are the companies like globally. Top 4 us, followed by wow, Ching's company actually is making $1 million in revenue because of all the tea that's getting exported with our assistance. Unsurprisingly, the Art Academy is the least profitable. That just solidifies how economically it's not a great investment. Technically, chairs aren't doing so well either, I've noticed, but it's only revolving around furniture production, which is more of just regular furniture and is not including switching over to making luxury furniture, which we could do. We could very much do. Oh, the one we formed for the railroad is actually doing the best because it has steel and iron, I surmise. And then Austrian paper doing well makes sense because it has... Ooh, it has all those trade centers that are making money. None of our urban centers are full of pops, I think, but they do have billions of people. You know, automobiles are finally cheap enough we could actually switch the urban centers over. I don't think it would do too much to give us more pops, though. I just want to switch it over because we can. Yeah, it's going to make automobiles expensive, which is probably going to curtail any exports for them. But it does make transportation cheaper, which isn't great for certain railroad industries, mind you. They're going to be paying a lot of money for that. But it's going to help a lot of the automation centers, like the mines. Although certain ones are still making a pretty good profit, so... No, I'm pretty certain the ammunition company is just capitalist owned, but it would be cool if the military focused buildings, that is a lot of different things we could get. It would be cool if the military focused buildings did actually give you partial officer ownership. Although maybe that doesn't make too much sense since the officers are meant to lead your armies, not your manufactories. But yeah, it's just full capitalist ownership. There's no involvement of servicemen or armed forces in it. As cool as that would be. Because I would definitely enjoy that. I feel like the only reason we're not importing more tea is because we can't import more in general. Yeah, we're at capacity. Thought so. Just to import lots of tea and export lots of things? It's mostly exports, but yeah. Kind of is. We're kind of like switching to a trade economy as time passes here, and I don't know if that's a good thing. But they're just making so much money, chat, even with the subventions included. I'm actually a little curious. If I were to restrict it to just trade centers, it should be all the way down here. Their average productivity is 50. That is pretty good. And they're employing about 2.4 million people, and that's including our trade centers in treaty ports. So we are employing several million pops in just trade centers. Which, I don't know about you, but I kind of like that. I very do much like that. Although this is including ones that we own overseas. If it's just in Austria, it does go down to 1.7 million, so that is removing the treaty ports, I think. No, the treaty port is here. Dang, how much do we own overseas that's not even us? Kiev, Holland. Ah, okay. See, now it makes a little more sense. Are we even on migration controls? Oh, I guess we are. You know, I never really noticed that we were on migration controls, actually. I guess we could try to start getting off it. I never really noticed that we were on it to begin with, actually. Which is kind of funny. Oh, hello. Surprise Russian naval invasion. Maybe I shouldn't be that surprised. No, don't demobilize the army. That is the last thing I need to do here in this situation. Demobilization is the last thing that we want to do. I guess antibiotics. Oh, at least we can get more officers now. That's fun. Another revolt Montenegro. It just does not stop. Don't ask me why they suddenly started building a bunch of buildings at once. I think the AI's gone a little nuts. Then again, we may push some of the urban centers to start firing people. And if that's true, that's actually fine by me, because that'll get more pops working elsewhere. Hey, free authority. But I do enjoy games like this. They're quite fun. And I am very pleased to see just how successful this Nantong Treaty Port has been. It is making a lot of money through just trade revenue. It's actually giving a respectable standard of living to all the Han Pops, too. They're... Actually, some of them are actually loyalists, too, which is probably the funniest thing. That some of them are actually loyal. Probably because their standard of living is not too far away from the average. Oh yeah, there's not even a movement for them now, which is very good. And keep in mind that since they're in the Qing market, all of those pops are actually buying products in Qing's economy, not our economy. Granted, they also import a lot of stuff from us as well anyway, like groceries and oil. Fabric as well, for whatever reason. I haven't really checked in as to why. Oh, that exportation of tea is almost making 100k on its own. Very nice. We never did switch off of mercantilism, did we? I think we did. We did. That's good. Rival. Mutual rival and neighbor. I think our standard of living is pretty remarkable as well that it's over 20, considering our average standard of living modifiers on most pops are about 0.1. Because we're now on private health insurance, if you recall. So they're only, yeah, after everything with pollution, they're going up by about maybe 1 level. Because pollution did max out in various states, and that's kind of why I prefer public health care to reduce the pollution effects further. That's usually what I like to do. Right, Britain got upset because of the whole pariah status. I did forget about that. Did kind of forget about that small detail there. We're spending a lot now. Ah, subventions have really taken off, huh? Yeah, they have. That makes sense, though. We did just build up a bunch of new trade centers, so they're probably all exporting more goods at once. That's fine, though. We're on very low per capita taxes. In theory, we could easily raise taxes to account for the deficit if need be. So how are you all doing? Because I think we are nearing... We're probably getting near our end here, because we are running out of things we could reasonably do, short of just starting to murder everyone. But then that's going to collapse the trade network. And I don't want to collapse the trade network today. We're importing art through Brooklyn. Oh, that's actually really good. So we're importing art through the Brooklyn Treaty Port into America, and we're exporting thousands of barrels of American oil. The one in Brazil, which is larger, is probably doing similar things. Yeah, it's exporting lots of rubber and hardwood and sugar, and importing engines. Oh yeah, because look at that. Brazil did enter its own market now, as suspected. So we're actually causing Brazil to export rubber when it otherwise probably wouldn't. I think it just switched out too. Yeah, maybe Paradox will. It could be like an idea to send their way and see if they like the idea or if they hate it. I don't actually know what they would think. Qing is the second biggest importer and exporter thanks to our trade port in them, which I really love. It's very nice. They're exporting almost 20 KT on their own, and we imported the vast super majority of it. Absolutely beautiful. All right, Russia, ready to surrender? Oh, migration. Where? I could have sworn that was the noise from mass migration. Oh, to the Sinai. The Sinai of all states. I know it's incorporated, but still, come on. Oh, wow, they actually built a small little economy here around the Suez Canal. Huh. Neat. Yeah, the armed forces do tend to inevitably get marginalized because a lot of the pops they attract are from the military. They can attract, like, engineers and capitalists, but that always ends up being a very small minority compared to the rest. Oh, there you have it. No migration controls. A couple hundred south or a couple thousand South Germans here, which is cool. I think I've just been moving in and out of the state, though, kind of back and forth. Tuscany. What have you done, Tuscany? Why are the people revolting against you? This wasn't supposed to happen. Or so I'm told. I don't know if it's true. But yeah, those votes are kind of helping the armed forces stay afloat, but they just don't have the wealth, and we're already paying them a lot of money at very high wages. Technically, servicemen barely make up 1.2% of the country as well. So maybe just making more larger armies would be a way to solve it too. Yeah, I suspected it was an electricity deficit. Maybe not here, actually. It's not an electricity deficit there. Probably just built a bunch of buildings at once, and that's where the imbalance came from. That would make a lot of sense. There's a lot of war starting suddenly. Yeah, I don't know. Military leadership's been a little weird because it's generally like industrialist, trade union, intelligentsia. It's occasionally giving us actual armed forces, though. It's kind of show that off a bit since it was asked just now. Another intelligentsia, Catholic, then another armed force. Like about 1 in every 3 generals that appear have been a member of the armed forces. Yeah, see, there it is, a third one right after those last 2. It's about 1 in 3 of them. Right, yeah, we could definitely fire a lot of them. It would just take a lot of cycling. But it's not a bad idea. If for the fun of it, if nothing else. Oh, the opulency. Our standard of living for the upper strata has just been slowly growing, and it's still growing. Also, a slightly amusing note, the capitalists who own the fine art academies, their biggest expenditure is fine art. So they're just buying their own product and self-feeding it. With enough effort, you could make the armed forces powerful. Their key issue, as we mentioned before, is just they tend to get outscaled by everyone else as time goes on. Because you can only have so many officers and soldiers. You could definitely get more with enough time and effort of just making more soldiers, but that doesn't contribute much to your economy. That being said, you could definitely do it. Although I think, is there another restriction the armed forces have any chance? I don't think there is. I think... Right? Not discriminate. Yeah, I think they just have to be not discriminated in order to join the armed forces, which means they just have to be fully accepted. Yeah, that's all they need, is to be not discriminated. Apparently a lot of them are supporting the Catholic Church and trade union over the armed forces at the moment, which is a little weird. But I assume that's going to just shift over time. It's very strange that that's happening, though. So, some of them just kind of aren't even supporting the armed forces right now when they should be. So that is a bit strange. A lot of adjustments do take time. I noticed we're also exporting 20,000 coal now. We're at 21,000, so that's good. We're importing oil and exporting the coal we no longer need. We import a good 21k of oil. The vast supermajority of it is exported by... Well, the Americans themselves are exporting it. Our treaty port there is just helping to add a couple extra thousand to the barrels. No, even if it's just armed forces leaders for leadership, they're still going to divvy up. Some of them will still support the Catholic Church for the servicemen. Some of them will still support the trade unions. That's just kind of how it is. It's not really possible to fully solidify the attraction to an interest group into a single interest group unless you have somehow managed to force everyone else into a negative attraction, which is not the easiest thing to do. Technically, you could probably do it. It's just not easy. It's very, very difficult, especially because now we can't... You can't suppress interest groups themselves directly. So I would actually say it's almost impossible. Because to get a huge negative here, you would essentially have to get a lot of... Like, they'd have to be led by extremely unpopular people. And even then, I don't think that would be enough on its own. Yeah, I have military release queued up, but we are kind of running really ahead of my cut down, wow, of the end time. Which is fine, but it's also like, wow, we really played longer than I was planning to today, which is good. That means we're enjoying our time. Enjoying your time is very important. Hanover still has a higher GDP per capita and standard of living than us because they're a council republic with cooperative ownership. And it's because of the oil. A bunch of their pops are just working in oil and sharing the spoils. How rude. They should share it all with us. Yeah, most of our pops are now fully accepted, 93%. So all that time that was taking for them to adjust after we got off subject had finally finished. Which is definitely very good. Base attraction with it for South Germans. What about Czechs? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that sounds about right. There's 11 possible actions for federal solution now. It used to be 10. I can't see it unless we get a specific monarchy government type, though, which isn't possible because we succeeded in the Neo-Absolutism journal entry, even though we then threw Neo-Absolutism out the window for a single-party state. Although I find it funny that we're a corporate state, and we arguably could very much go back to it if we really wanted to. That would be fun. There's a lot of support for technocracy, actually. Not that we'll do it. Yeah, the church is finally happy enough to boost the birth rate again. Even though it's already been so long. Ugh. Let's have South German and North Italian, then it's Hungarian. Actually, you know, we've been on state religion for a long time. What is the religious map mode like? Yeah, it makes sense that that's still Protestant because we only took it over somewhat recently, but it is just heavily dominated Catholicism over here, including where all the Orthodox pops were. Now it's just not anymore. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I figured Brooklyn wouldn't get enough trade people in it. The fact the trade centers are making so much money, though, is delicious. I can't get over it because it's just so good. Eventually, trade does start to get a bit wobbly when the amounts get really high and people start having civil wars, which can be a bit of a issue. But seeing them all make profit, even with subventions, is pretty nice. Granted, some of them are definitely more reliant on subventions than others, so yeah. That is some good revenue, though. Probably because their annual wage is no longer going insanely high, insanely fast. Which definitely helps. 119k from just importing tea into one state. Wondering, who are the richest capitalists out of all the companies? 73 there as well. It might be the artists, actually. Yeah, 74, because they're trading with the aristocrats here. Which, yeah, we still have aristocrats, by the way. 73. Yeah, I think... No, here it is. Yeah, no, here it is. There's the richest ones. At 80 standard of living, it's a bunch of North Italians that are very slowly assimilating into German. After modifier, their base is 76. Goodness. That is a lot of wealth. What is their growth rate like? It's 0.4 at level 4 healthcare? Right, because I guess it's going to sit around 0.6 at this level. With a 5% bonus, minus 7 literacy. I think, yeah, they definitely, with some of the latest updates, I think they definitely tweaked birth rate mortality again a bit because... Well, then, I'm not sure how much they might have tweaked it by because we're on private healthcare, so it could just be that mortality's lower. I'm not too certain as to which it could be. I kind of want to see the effect of a level 5 private healthcare system before we stop, so we're going to at least continue until we grab that. But otherwise, we are in 1913. We are kind of approaching when World War I would have historically began, and we are kind of... We've been at it a long time. Hey, Greeks are... Greek socialist revolt is apparently sending pops our way. I guess they don't like their island anymore. Oh, the industrialists joined the Landbund. Which means the armed forces get less votes, but, it's still pretty cool. I love how the trade union took so long to finally appear, and now they're finally here, and they're still not strong. They're still suffering minus 25%. Okay. So now they've gone up a standard of living. They're actually at 0.51% pop growth now. Wow. I mean, yeah, they're opulent, so of course the healthcare system's going to give them a big boost. Our pop growth did actually go up because of the mortality reduction. So if they're sitting at about 0.6 birth rate, this means with extremely high standard of living and healthcare, you could, on top of the food standardization, obviously, you could get it. Yeah, you could get it pretty low, and still have at least about 0.5% pop growth, which isn't fantastic, but at least you have it. Yeah, at 19, it's still too low, though. Or, sorry, that's not their base wealth, is it? Base wealth of 21. 21. Yeah, so... At level 5 public healthcare, you would be getting minus 25% mortality. So yeah, I thought that was right. They did change it because they buffed public healthcare. Since public healthcare can now reach up to minus 25 mortality reduction, that means your base wealth on pops needs to be 25, such as these pops right here, in order to get the exact same mortality reduction out of it. However, that isn't factoring into the pollution impact that adds mortality. Because private health insurance at level 5 is giving minus 50 pollution health effect reduction. Public health care gives minus 75. So, actually, 25 might not even be the equilibrium if you're playing with maxed out pollution impact here. Because we'd be knocking it down by minus 85% instead. I think the standard of living effect it has is almost negligible because of what we have active. But just looking at it from a purely mortality perspective, I think you're looking at like level 20, like 28 or 30 wealth for private health insurance to get the same mortality reduction as healthcare if you're including the pollution mortality. Because of how the multiplier works on that. You'd be at least, the pollution impact here would be at least 10% lower. Instead of plus 20% mortality, it'd be minus 10% mortality. I'm pretty sure. Or at least 5% lower guaranteed. So that's kind of an issue you're looking at here with this. It's private. It's still great if you're just wanting to make your upper strata pops really rich, or just make the bourgeoisie more powerful. It's really good in that regard. But otherwise, I think public health care is still king for reducing mortality the most. And as long as you can control your standard of living, if you're trying to not let it get too high, so we could raise taxes, for example, to bring it back down if we wanted to. We're just coasting, really. That is something you could do as an example. Oh, because authoritarians don't care for on that, or... Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I would say, like, you're probably looking around 30 for private healthcare if you're talking with a lot of mortality from pollution. Obviously, if there's no pollution, then it doesn't do as much. But you have to account for pollution, because eventually you are going to have a lot of pollution if you're playing like we are. You're eventually going to have a lot in most of your states, as we do. Which is going to harm the birth rate. Anyway, I think it's time to wrap this up, because we've been playing for almost 4 hours now. So we have really gone far here. And I think this is a great success. 8 GDPC at 1.4 billion. 177 million pops that are mainly concentrated here in Austria itself. Granted, we annexed Prussia near the end, so... Sorry, Prussia. The treaty port over in Qing is just stupendous as well. It's not only is it causing a lot of trade activity that's great for us and Qing, that trade activity has actually been stimulating Qing's economy. Just keep in mind, the only thing we're doing in Qing is just trade through the treaty port. As you can see from the domestically owned GDP, this is all natural. This is all just Qing. They still have serfdom. They still have land-based taxation. They still have traditionalism. But Qing has 300 million GDP with no investments from the player. Because it's importing lots of tools, lots of coal, paper, fabric, oil, engines, etc. All from our treaty port. And then it's exporting a lot of things like the tea and tobacco it's made to the wider world. Obviously, this is still a backwards Qing whose economy is still not doing great. But because of what we've done, their tea plantations are able to make a lot of production. In fact, honestly, I would love to see it if this was with automatic irrigation, pumping even more out for us to export even more. But there's a bit of a limit. Yeah, the armed forces aren't marginalized too, which is nice. The industrialists are actually at 40% clout now. They got very powerful. Which is not too surprising considering the paths we took. It's not very, very shocking. But this is kind of why I wanted to experiment with a canton-systemed Qing, to see what would happen if Qing was extremely reliant on all of their trade going through a single treaty port. The result is you can make a lot of money out of it, man. You can make a lot of money. Not to mention the relative advantage is generally very favorable in the treaty port because of the bonus from the treaty port and whatever bonuses you yourself have. So like the tea is being exported at several pounds higher than it otherwise would, as an example here. And the relative advantage. Wait. I'm so wait. Qing's making telephones? That can't be right. It must be something else in their market is making the telephones for them. There's no way Qing itself has access to telephones. Oh, okay. What? Are they... Wait, so you mean to tell me Qing is exporting 296 telephones while making exactly 0 telephones? That makes no sense. It's not even profitable. I don't, that doesn't make any sense. What, why? That's a bit headache inducing. I don't want to think about it any further. My head hurts. Nope, we're gonna ignore it. We're gonna ignore it. Nanton Army and Nanton Navy. Technically, that would probably benefit, I think that would benefit Qing's interest groups. I'm actually not sure how that would work. Oh, no, I guess it would be our interest groups, wouldn't it? Huh. Yeah. Oh, well. Not sure how that works. Right? Well, that's the weird thing. Is like, they're exporting telephones, but as you can see here, they have no supply for telephones. There are no telephones in the Qing market. So how are they exporting them? And second question, how am I importing these telephones that don't exist? I know America's exporting some, presumably through our treaty port. Oh, partially through the treaty port. It's mainly oil. It really is just oil for the treaty port. That's great. I love that. Yeah, no, that makes no sense. I'm very confused by that. I don't want to think about it any further because it hurts. That is a lot of motor industries that should not have been built. Yeah, we're at the point where the investment pool is just spamming buildings out because it doesn't know what to do because there's no one to employ at this point. But I do find it amusing that one of our richest companies is just the company that makes paper, logs, and controls all the trade systems. Which is honestly fantastic. And then Qing actually has one of the top 5 economies, chat, because of all the tea they're producing that's then being exported to us. If they had automatic irrigation, it would probably go even better, but I don't think Qing even has that unlocked. It would be quite the spectacle, though. Anyway, I've dragged this on long enough. Thank you all so much for coming. I hope you had a very good time enjoying watching this stream. It was a very fun Let's Play, and I'm going to see you all later. See ya.